On my time. I apologize. Well, hello and welcome to the Unlock Your Hidden Revenue Summit. This is going to be an amazing and epic day. Welcome to everybody who's joining us from all over the world. So I need to preface this with if you are catching this on the replay because of time zone issues, I apologize. I'm located in the New York area, so we're running this on my time zone, but I know that we have folks from 62, at last count, 62 different countries that have registered for this event. So really, really excited to be here with you and to bring you this information. But before I do that, a lot of you don't know who I am, so I'm going to introduce myself. And before I do that, if you can just let me know in the comments that you can hear me, you can see me, that everything. What you can do is you could just put in where you're tuning in from, so that we know the people that we have that joining us today. I do see some good old friends in here. Rachel Brenke, Neil Tyra, Neil in the house. How are you? So we're gonna jump right into the introduction here. This is I want to lay the groundwork for you on what the heck is this you. What is information products, and how does that help you? So I'm getting feedback in the comments from people letting me know that this is all working. We've got somebody from Panama, somebody from Massachusetts, that's in the United States. Awesome. Thank you so much. Austin, Texas. Great. Welcome, everybody. So I am Moshe Amsel. I am the host of the Profit with Law podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, I strongly encourage you to do so. And I also host the Law Firm Growth Summit. Started as a 5-day virtual summit where we collaborated with over 30 speakers that brought all kinds of information about growing your firm. And that kind of took off on its own. And we started to run these one-day events, these one-day summits, where we bring you a ton of great information about one very specific topic. And that's what we're doing today. Is we're going to be talking about information products in your law firm and how they can basically really catapult you to a different level of success. And we're going to lay the groundwork for that. So a little bit about myself. I am a dad of 5. My kids are ages 21 to 3. We had a bunch of birthdays recently, and a couple of them are actually here helping me. My older girls, Mimi and Goldie, admin in the groups and helping me on this live stream. So I have I have this th- this eclectic history of what's going on with my family, and in the journey of that process, I realized that I didn't want to be tied to a desk. I didn't want to be tied to answering to somebody else. I wanted to have my own business, but more than just having my own business, I wanted to create a business that gave me the time freedom to be able to do what I want when I want, to be able to take off when I wanted, to be able to essentially have the freedom and flexibility to not have to worry that I need to work 8 hours a day in order to make things happen. And some people are working a lot more than 8 hours a day. And that took me on a quest to really find and understand information products, because information products are the kind of thing that you do the work once and it pays dividends over and over again after that. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to create this, and I struggled with it. It took me a lot of years to figure it all out, and I owe a lot of the success that I have today to a fellow by the name of James Wedmore. You're going to meet him at the end of the day today. He's our last session before I close it out, and he has a multi-million dollar information product business teaching people how to create information product businesses. And he has thousands of clients that have achieved significant success with this business model. So he is the perfect person to highlight and bring to the stage today. And as we progress through the day, you're going to actually find out about a video series that he has out right now, which is it's an 8-part video series that teaches you the foundations and fundamentals of creating an information products business, and in this case, a business line within your law firm. So if you want to get a leg up on and check that out, go to www.profitwithlaw.com/video series, profitwithlaw.com/video series, and that will take you to his video series where you can binge on those 8 videos today. They're actually out this week. He only puts them out once a year, and that's live right now. So we're going to jump right into this, and I am going to go over to my slides. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay the foundation for you on what is information products and what does that have to do with your law firm. So the first thing is to lay out the problems. What are the problems that we are experiencing today that information products can help us overcome? And those problems are something that a lot of you are going to be very familiar with. Number one, it's difficult to find clients. That's something that a lot of law firm owners struggle with. Now, at the beginning, you get referrals, you get family and friends, you start to build a book of business, the more referrals come in, but it becomes a very difficult thing to scale just doing that. So then you start searching for other ways to find clients, and you find that there is no easy way. There's no easy answer, and you got to really work hard to find clients. Then there's another problem. There's competition in the marketplace. Competition in the marketplace creates this situation where maybe other people are going to someone else. They're not coming to you. Or maybe they are, maybe there's price competition. So if you're a family law attorney or a bankruptcy attorney or an estate planning attorney, you find it difficult to raise your prices because you'll outprice yourself in the market because there's competition. There's people who are competing against you. Then we also have problem clients, and problem clients can be a nightmare. We all know that problem clients can not pay their bills. They could zap and leech all of your time from you. They can really obliterate what you're trying to build. And how do you keep problem clients from coming? And we also can't serve everyone. And there's only so much time in the day. But I bet that some of you, when you set out to create set out uh, to start your own law practice, most likely you set out to make some sort of change or impact, whether it's in your local community, whether it's in the world, or whether it's just for your family. And the problem is that we're limited to how many clients we can see in a day, how many clients we can see in a year. And therefore, your impact that you can have is limited to that number of people. What if we can get over that? What if we can change the world? We can do better. And then I think this is the last one. Finally, you don't see financial return that you had hoped for when you opened your law firm. Everybody, when they start a business, they think that I'm gonna get clients. It's just and I'm going to earn way more than I can earn working for somebody else because I own the responsibility. I can go out there and I can make a difference. And when I control it, I'm going to do a better job than somebody else was doing when I was working for them. And we quickly find out that it might not be as easy as we thought it would be. And a lot of us are not seeing the financial returns that we want. We're not able to buy that multi-million-dollar home, that vacation home, that lake house property, that car that we wanted, or save for retirement the way that we wanted to, or put our kids through the most expensive college that we wanted to put them through. Whatever your financial goals were, are you on track with that? Most law firm owners are not, and that's part of the problem. So if these problems are resonating with you, if these problems are something that you're struggling with, the good news is that what if we could solve all these problems with one solution? What if with one solution we can solve all these problems and essentially make you financially successful, give you a bigger platform to have impact on, get rid of problem clients. You can be as selective as you want on which clients that you take and not compete with the competition. What if we could solve all of that? Well, the good news is that we can. And that's why we're here today. It's called information products. Now, what the heck are information products? Well, I'm going to tell you. So I'm glad that you asked. Information products are a different forms of using the knowledge that you already have. So you've got lots of knowledge in your head from the years of experience that you've had, from the years of schooling that you've had. You have a unique skill set, a unique set of knowledge that you can use to serve many people at once. And this can look different. And I'm going to give you some examples. One example, the easiest example of an information product, we all know it, writing a book. If you become an author and you write a book, you're essentially taking the knowledge that you have in your head, you're putting it on paper, and you're selling it to the masses. Millions of people can buy a copy of your book. You can affect the lives of millions of people by simply becoming an author. That is the most basic example of information products. But often reading a book is not enough for people. Often they get some information from it, but they don't actually effectuate change from it. And therefore, there's other things that we can do to elevate what a book can do. We can create a course. A course is basically a digital, or you could send it in the mail with a CD or a USB stick, but it's some sort of recorded video, pre-recorded video content. It doesn't have to be video, actually. It could be audio, it could be written, but basically it's where you're taking somebody through a journey to teach them something. And there are courses on all kinds of things that people are paying for. Everything from how to do your own canning and create your own canned food to how to learn how to play a guitar. There are courses for that. Imagine if there were courses for what you do, how to navigate the family court system, how to go through a divorce, how to declare bankruptcy, how to get out of debt and avoid bankruptcy. These are all things that people want to learn, they want to know, and you have the ability to create a course and teach them how to do that. That is another example of an information product. Running a membership. We all have subscriptions that we pay for. Actually, I don't know what my whole audience here has, but let's say you've got Netflix that you're paying for to watch content on your TV, or you have a cable bill, or you have internet access. You're paying a subscription, you're paying a monthly fee to have access to something. So a membership can be many different things. It could be a membership that teaches content. In other words, you're constantly training. We have a membership here at Profit with Law called the Incubator, which is for small law firms, and it provides supports in the areas of marketing, technology, and running your business. And that incubator is very low price. It's $97 a month, but you get access every single week. We have a live call. We're constantly teaching new things. Every week you have a call where you learn something new that you can put into practice in your law firm. So that is an example of a membership where we are teaching content. There's also a membership that can foster a community. So you can have people who are part of a group, they're part of the membership, they pay to be there, but they are just being put into a community of like-minded people. That's another example of a membership. And there are other examples as well, but that's another form of information product. Having a group coaching program. Now, a group coaching program is not scalable to the masses if it's just you individually. In other words, if you had 1,000 group coaching clients, that would be unmanageable if it's just you. Now, you could bring in other coaches to keep scaling and expanding it, but it is a way to work with more than one person at a time. With a regular client, you're working with one client at a time. You're doing the work for them. In a group coaching program or some sort of group platform, you're going to be doing the same work once for multiple people. Another form of information product. And then the final one that I'm going to share with you is a finished product where you're taking something and you're providing a deliverable that people want to pay for, such as legal templates. Now, the good news is that we're going to highlight these examples for you today as well. Now, where do you position an information product? An information product can be positioned before a client that needs you. Before a client needs you. So basically, a person is in this client journey where they go from a pain point, they fix that pain, they go to the next pain point. They fix that pain, they go to the next pain point. That's how we traverse through life. We're constantly trying to find solutions to our problems. And before they come to you, there's a problem before that. For example, if they're coming to you because you're a family law attorney and they want to get divorced, the problem before that, they were on the outs with their spouse. They and their spouse couldn't find love, or they couldn't stop fighting, or whatever it was. That was the previous pain point before they came to the point of I want a divorce. Somebody is coming to you for bankruptcy. The previous pain point was they were in deep debt and they were unable to get out of it. So now they're at the point where they need to declare bankruptcy. So there's always pain points preceding the pain point that brings them to you. You can create an information product to solve the problem previous to your problem, before a client needs you. The next thing you could do is at the time a client needs you. So this is basically an alternate to your service. So instead of me doing it for you, you can do it yourself. Or instead of me doing it, or while I do it for you, you're going to have questions about how to navigate the system. I'm going to answer those questions. I'm going to show you how that works. And then after a client needs you, jumped ahead. Okay. And then after a client needs you, an example of that is we'll go back to our family law and our bankruptcy examples. So in a family law practice, you put somebody through a divorce, they get to the end of the divorce. Most family law attorneys, that's the end. They never hear from that client again unless they have some child support modification issue or something like that, right? But the next pain point, okay, I'm divorced. What's my next pain point? Well, the next pain point is how do I reestablish my life? How do I navigate, if I'm a single parent, how do I navigate that? How do I navigate managing my kids and making sure that they're healthy? How do I navigate paying for child support if I'm the payer? Or how do I manage my finances if I'm the receiver of child support? All kinds of possible pain points that happen after divorce. Well, what if you can create a membership or you can create a course that helps them navigate that post-divorce process? Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see that, wait a second, maybe we've been leaving something on the table here. Maybe we've been not addressing something that's possible. It's also about providing access to services to a broader market. Um, if you create pre-recorded content, if you create something where you can deliver on in mass, like for example, right here, I'm doing a live video broadcast, and there are people sitting here live watching me, and there are going to be people who come and watch the replay. There are potentially going to be over 1,000 people that watch this video. There's close to 2,000 attorneys across the world that have signed up for this event. So this video can be watched by close to 2,000 attorneys, which means that I can potentially affect change in the lives of close to 2,000 people with one day of broadcasts. You can do that too. How long would it take you working in your law firm to help 1,000 people, to help 2,000 people? That's what an information product can do for you. It removes the competition. Your previous competitors will send business your way. If you create a product that does not exist in your area, in your marketplace, let's say you're a family law attorney and you simply create a product of how to navigate the divorce, how to navigate a divorce in the legal system in this location. Let's say we had somebody here from Dallas, Texas. How to navigate the divorce system in Texas. And you basically create an information product that teaches them how it works, what the laws are, what they need to look out for when they're talking to their attorney, what they should ask for as far as time with their kids, and how to divide assets and things like that. You basically give them all of this information that what happens when they go to an attorney, they're paying by the hour, and they know that every question they ask is going to cost them a boatload of money. So instead of asking the questions, they keep their mouth shut. Now you create this product and you sell it for whatever, $500, $1,000, and somebody can get all this information and not have to tie up their attorney. Every family law attorney in the industry in Texas is going to love this product because their clients are going to become more informed. So now they're going to start promoting your product to their clients. And then your product is going to create leads for you where you can't serve all the leads because you can only serve your geographic area, your 50-mile radius in Texas. So you're going to turn around and start referring those back out to the people who are referring to you. And then this creates this beautiful circle where now your competition are your partners. They're not competing with you anymore. That's a beautiful world. You're finding people before they are in the market for an attorney. If you're addressing the previous pain point, then you're basically finding people who aren't even shopping for what you do. So let's say, for example, our bankruptcy example. Somebody is deep in debt. They're looking to get out of it. You have an information product that helps people get out of debt. Now, it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because if I help them get out of debt, they're not going to declare bankruptcy. Well, guess what? Not everybody who buys your course is going to be successful. And what's going to happen is you're positioning yourself in an amazing place, which is they now have a relationship with you. They have an affinity to you. They like you. And they went through your thing. It didn't work for them. They need to take the next step. They know throughout the course, you've talked about you doing bankruptcy cases. And if they can't fix it, then bankruptcy is an option. And they're going to call you. They're never going to look at another bankruptcy attorney. There will not be any competition for you when they're coming from your information product to you to do the work for them. So by finding them in that previous pain point, by finding them in the step before, what you're doing is you are creating potential customers that are going to be the customers you've always dreamed of, because they are not shopping for the cheapest price. They are not going to hound you for every moment of your time. They're going to respect that time because they're going to look at you on an elevated platform. They're going to look at you as somebody whose time is very valuable. They're going to be really careful with asking the right questions, and they already went through all this training with you. So they already come as very knowledgeable as they come to you as new clients. You're providing an option that others are or cannot provide. And we glossed on this about, at the beginning with removing competition. This is part of that, but you're basically, if you provide an option for DIY for them to do it themselves, um, or if you address the pain point before, both of those are going to be options that other people are not, other lawyers are not providing. And what that's going to do is it's going to separate you apart from the competition. So even in the process of selecting an attorney, if you position, hey, I could do it for you, or you can take this information product and you can have, and you can find out how to do this, that side-by-side comparison, by giving them those options, they're going to see that you are providing them an easier route in case that's right for them. They're going to appreciate that. That's going to lift you above the competition. It's going to pick you up a step above the rest. And finally, you're expanding the pie. This is a metaphor, and it goes back to finding people before they need you. Normally, there's only a pie of people that need your services, and you get a slice of the pie. So when you're competing with competition, you're always trying to get a bigger slice of the pie. But when you look for people who are not even shopping for your services, you go beyond that. What you're doing is you're taking that pie and you're making it bigger and bigger. And instead of needing to fight for a bigger slice of the same size pie, you're just expanding the pie and therefore able to take a much bigger slice. Hopefully that all makes sense. So with information products, you solve these problems. It's difficult to find clients. Well, not anymore. With information products, you're coming out to the marketplace to try to solve a pain point, whether it's before the pain point before, whether it's the pain point during or the pain point after. You are coming to the market to solve a pain point. When people need a solution to a problem, they're very happy to raise their hand and pay for it. There's competition in the marketplace. Not anymore. We just established that you can expand the pie. You can have your so-and-so called competitors actually sending customers your way. It's hard to charge premium prices. Not anymore. When all of your clients are coming from your information product, or most of your clients are coming from there, well, guess what? They're not shopping based on price. They want you. So you can charge whatever value whatever you believe is fair for the value that you're providing. And therefore, you don't have to look at what other people are charging. If you're an estate planning attorney, you don't have to worry about the fact that other people will do a trust for $3,000. You can charge $5,500, $6,000 if that's what you feel is fair for what you're doing, because they are coming to you because they want to work with you. And that puts you in a position where you don't need to worry about what you're charging. Problem clients can be a nightmare. Well, guess what? But when you're able to elevate your prices, when you're able to funnel people through your information product, that's going to weed out the people who want an easy fix. That's going to weed out the people who are leeches. That's going to weed out the people who are problems. That's going to allow you to be selective when clients are coming in. If you recognize a bad client, potential bad client, you can say no to that because you'll have plenty of business. You're not going to be worried about where is my business coming from. We can't serve everyone. There's only so much time in the day. When you create an information product, you are talking to the masses. You are delivering to the masses, and therefore you are able to serve many more people than you were able to serve in your law firm. You do not see financial return you had hoped for when you opened your law firm. It might be obvious, but when you start selling something that you don't have to keep producing over and over again, you create an information product that's something that you do the work once and you sell it over and over again. Or even if you're delivering ongoing content in a membership, you're doing that once a week, once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month, 4 times a month, but that's it. And that's your product. You don't need to do anything else. Yeah, you have to manage customer support, but you hire somebody for that. You don't have to do that much work on an information product. That work is done up front, and then you reap the rewards over and over and over again. So if you want to see the financial return, you got to be able to make more money in every minute of the day than you were making before. With information products, you can make money while you're sleeping. You can make money. People who are buying that product, they're buying it even when you're not aware that they're buying it. So here is what you're going to learn today. That is basically the nutshell of information products, and I'm just going to go through the various sessions. So in session 2, we're going to highlight 4 attorneys with successful information product businesses, each doing it a little differently. And that's where you're going to see examples and proof that this works. You're going to see examples of the various things that we just shared. Session 3, we're going to talk about positioning yourself as an authority. You're going to learn how to easily become an authority through podcasting, press releases, and even authoring a book. And if this sounds a little scary, please wait for session 3. Listen and watch session 3, because you're going to find that Mike Saunders, who I'm going to have here on that session, he is going to share with us a service that he provides where they basically do all this for you. So this is it's pretty wild. You don't have to be an author. You don't have to come up with all this stuff. Session 4, information products are marketed very differently than you did your law firm. And this is going to be a conversation with my friend Andy Stickle. Andy is a super marketer in the legal space, and he has a very successful information product business that he does targeting lawyers, but he is an awesome marketing mind, and he's always in my Facebook feed. I love his ads, and I thought of no better person than him to have that marketing primer conversation on information products. Session 5, now that you know what's involved in marketing information products for your business, you likely won't need to market your firm again. So now basically we move the marketing from marketing your firm to marketing your information products. And there is a way that you can get the marketing of your information products absolutely free. And everybody's ears should be perking up when we talk about free stuff, right? So Sid Pedinti is our speaker at session 5, and he's going to share with you how you can use grants from Fortune 500 companies to essentially get your marketing for free and other things, to get funding for other things. You're going to love that session. So make sure that you come to session 5. And by the way, the schedule for all of these sessions is in your email, including links to access each of these live broadcasts. I will be going live 5 minutes before, so you can join up to 5 minutes before. There'll be a slide with a countdown timer until we start. But I just want to make sure that you know that when you can connect and how you can connect. Session 6 is going to be a live demo of the only software platform you will need to market, promote, sell, and deliver your information product experience. That's going to be done by me, yours truly, and I'm going to walk you through a product called Kajabi, and I'm going to show you how Kajabi has everything that you need to be able to market and deliver your information products to your clients. Session 7 is going to be a live Q&A panel. We're going to be featuring a number of our experts from the day. Come with your questions, and we'll see you there. Session 8, I mentioned this earlier, James Wedmore. Definitely sign up for the 8-part video series. Go to profitwithlaw.com/video series. He has a multi-million-dollar business teaching business owners how to create an information products business, and he's going to bring it all together. He shows us a 5-step process that it takes to create your information products line, your information products business in your law practice. And you do not want to miss session number 8. And finally, I'm going to recap everything and share some opportunities with you to work with me and to take next steps in order to implement this in your business. That's going to be session 9 in my closing remarks. And I'm really looking forward to all of these sessions throughout the day. And I really appreciate you being here with me. So take a moment and imagine a world where you could serve thousands of clients a year while having absolute control over your time. What would that do for you? So that's going to close out our opening session. And what I invite you to do is I invite you to stay with me throughout the day and join me for each of these sessions. If you have conflicts, everything will be here in the Facebook group. You can always come back. The links you have are going to be good. You'll be able to watch this later on replay. But you can see already, this is going to be an action-packed day where we're going to walk you through exactly what you need to know in order to create and implement information products in your business. So with that, I'm going to see you on the next session. Hi, I'm Moshe Amsel, and today you are attending an entire series of talks from people who have taken their knowledge and turned it into information products for their business. Now, whether you're going to use information products to help you get clients on the front end, whether you can use information products to support clients after they've worked with you, or whether you're going to start a whole new line of business, whether it's creating templates or whether it's completely exiting your legal practice. However you want to implement information products, just know this: selling information products is the hardest, most difficult thing to do out there. You're essentially creating a need for something that doesn't exist. You're creating a product that's not done for you services. It's not something that somebody can just take and use and implement for them. You need to paint the picture for them. You need to let them understand and know what the value of that product is. There is a whole science and a whole business model behind it that's so different from the business model that you're used to executing on as a law firm owner. And that's why I think it's so important that if you see the value in implementing this type of business model or this type of add-on to your business, that you go to an expert who can help you see how to do it. They can show you the way. My coach and mentor, James Wedmore, opens up his Business by Design program only once a year. Now, he does a live series of training leading up to that open. At this point, the cart is open. It's closing on Thursday. So this is the opportunity for you right now to jump in, take advantage of it, and come on board and learn from the best of the best. James has taken his business to over $10 million in revenue annually. He has multiple programs depending on somebody's level. But right now, you can get into Business by Design, which has a slew of pre-created templates and marketing plans for you to execute on. More importantly, help you understand how to talk to your audience in a way that's going to really close the gap and allow them to come in and buy from you. So if you've been listening to the sessions today and you start to see the possibility, see what's available to you as an additional revenue stream to your law firm, you're already doing the work, you're already getting in front of people, you're already spending the money on marketing. Why not unlock another value point for you? Why not open up the door, the floodgates of additional revenue in your firm? And you can do that by joining James Wedmore's BBD. One last thing: if you do join, I host a accountability support group for people who join for the first 90 days. You can find all that information out on our webpage at profitwithlaw.com/BBD, profitwithlaw.com/BBD. Go check it out now and enjoy the rest of the day. Welcome back. Session 2 of your Hidden Revenue Summit. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who are here live, I really appreciate your time and dedication to be here with me. For those of you catching on the replay, I get it. There's always stuff that comes up, but hopefully you're getting a chance to watch this fairly soon after we release it. Welcome, everybody. If you were with me in the opening session, then you totally understand what we're going to be doing here in this session. If not, I'm just going to quickly lay the groundwork. We're going to be talking about information products all day. There's different ways that you can position an information product. There's different ways that you can do an information product. And what we're going to do is, for this particular session, we're going to highlight 4 attorneys that have successfully implemented information products. Now, I'm going to give you this disclaimer. Some of them have not created information products within the scope of their law firm. They've actually created a separate information products business with a different set of information than what they do in their practice area. That the reason actually created a separate information products business with a different set of information than what they do in their practice area. That the reason created a separate information products business with a different set of information than what they do in their practice area. That the reason created a separate information products business with a different set of only able to find these people is because information products in the legal industry is just it doesn't exist. It's not. It's I mean there's maybe 5 or 10 attorneys in the entire world that are doing this right now, and it just means that the potential that you have to get into this now is huge. And I don't want to take too much time talking about this, but I want you to understand that you don't need to close the doors of your law firm to create an information products business. You can create an information products business as a core component of your law firm that is going to absolutely exponentially increase the reach that you have, the money you have coming in, and the profitability of your firm. So with that, I'm going to bring on our very first one is Britta Long, and she is an author of a book and also teaches a course. So she has a book that positions into a course, and you're going to learn about that from her. Now, I'm just going to tell you all 4 of the lawyers I'm going to bring on during this particular session are cuts from a podcast interview that I did with each of them. So those podcast interviews are going to be dropping over the next couple of weeks. You can catch the entire interview by going and subscribing to the Profit with Law podcast. But you're going to hear some referrals to the podcast and to the show. So just so that it's not confusing, that's what's going on here. So these are all hour-long interviews that we just took a piece of it to highlight what the power is of what they are doing. So here we go. We're going to bring on Britta Long.
Well, I've been practicing since 1997. I was a deputy prosecuting attorney for a few years, and then I opened up my own practice in 2000. Practiced family law for many years, and about 4 years into that, you started using flat fees, and that made the practice so much better. But it was still family law, and still the clients. So about 5, 6 years ago, I started estate planning, and still using flat fees. I moved due to family issues and taking care of my father, moved to Texas from Seattle, and started writing my first book on dealing with your parents passing away, which worked well with my estate planning. And my father passed away, and I really just started writing. And I made the decision to continue to write and create this course versus starting a whole new practice in Texas. Uh, I was pretty much done. I've been doing this a long time and found this new avenue that I loved and decided to give this a try.
So how did you get into? I mean, let's just talk about your concept, which is flat fee billing. How did you get into that yourself? Like, how what introduced you to the idea of doing flat fees, and how did you navigate that uh, to make it something that you feel is an absolute necessity for attorneys to implement in their practice?
Well, I knew that hourly billing wasn't working for me. But I didn't know of any other way. But I was very tired of chasing after clients for money. I started feeling that there was an adversarial relationship with my clients. Even when clients would first come in, I would be evaluating whether I thought they could pay me or not. And I was always one step behind. It was always, oh, one more client will get me ahead. And I was doing the things that you're taught to do. I kept contemporaneous notes religiously. My descriptions were amazing. My clients didn't question the bill; they just didn't pay the bill, or they paid some of it. And I just always felt like I was behind the eight ball, and I was spending so much time on this billing issue. And it was really causing a lot of anxiety, which most attorneys have anxiety issues, and this was not helping. And I just wanted to go to work, do a great job, and get paid. And I remembered that when I was a prosecuting attorney, criminal attorneys all used flat fees. And I thought, well, there's got to be a way. I mean, we're pretty smart people. There's got to be a way to translate that to family law. And I started asking around, and everybody thought I was crazy. Everyone was like, you can't do that. You don't know. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how it's going to be involved. Well, I found an attorney, Mark Chen, out of Jackson, Mississippi, who was very well established, very well respected, and who used flat fees. And he had an ebook on it, and I read the ebook and felt instant relief because there was hope. There was hope that I could do this. And so I did what the book told me to do. And over the years, I tweaked it and made it my own. And it, it takes a while to have the problems come up. And those problems are very, very costly if you don't know about them ahead of time and how to prevent them. So if people are trying to do this on their own, they can do it. They're certainly not any less intelligent than I am, but it takes a long time to work out all the kinks unless you're being taught precisely how to do it. So I worked out the kinks and never looked back. Would never look back from
Yeah,
going back to hourly.
and what I want to point out is, I mean, you have two products, right? You have a book that you
Correct.
wrote, and then you have a course that you sell. And I want to point out that first of all, a book is an information product. It is a piece of material that you took your knowledge, you put it into some sort of format that people can buy, and you're able to serve many people with the efforts that you place just doing that once. So you wrote the book, and now over and over again, people could buy that book, they could read it, they can get the information. And books play very well when you parlay them into a course. In other words, when people read a book, they understand the concepts of what you're teaching, but often they feel like they need somebody to hold their hand to implement those concepts. And that's where a course or any sort of coaching program can fill that need. And it's not going to be everybody, right? So, 10,000 people buy your book, maybe only 1,000 of them or 100 of them actually need your help. But those 100 people, you have to have that next level, that you can support them with if you really want to effectuate change and help people, create this difference for themselves. Um, it's interesting that you took the knowledge that you had to help other lawyers as opposed to the knowledge that you had in the law to help people navigate those areas of law that you focused on, which is an interesting phenomenon because you're not the only one. And there's, I mean, first of all, practically every coach in the practice business development, practice management space is an attorney who says, "Hey, I was successful. Let me show you how I did it." You're doing it with just one little piece of it, which I think is genius, to niche down to that level. Um, but that's really the only example that we have in the legal space to demonstrate what an information product looks like. There's fewer and even less attorneys right now who are creating products for their ideal clients to boost who they can reach and the money that they can make off of those people. So I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, did that ever cross your mind to take that other, amazing knowledge base that you've amassed over the years with the areas of law that you've practiced to create some sort of information product, book, course, or things like that to serve that market?
Yes, yes, and I haven't done it yet, but this was my priority, quite frankly, because there are so many attorneys out there who are so unhappy, to the point of leaving the practice, to the point of suicide, and I've had personal contact with uh, some people who have gotten in real trouble. I have a good friend whose husband killed himself in his office. And so it was, to me, it was critical to start reaching out to attorneys to give a lifeline. And I knew that ahead of time, but now that I've worked with attorneys and I see behind the curtain,
Mm-hmm.
and they really share details of their lives, I know it's even more critical than I thought. So my focus right now is on attorneys. Let's get that settled. But absolutely, the more that I do this work, the more ideas come into my head. My practice area was estate planning and family law. And especially with family law, I think that there is such a huge ocean there for products. Um, it's it, it's not even funny, quite frankly.
So, it's interesting because when I talk to family law attorneys, I happen to have a number of family law attorneys in my higher level coaching program, an even bigger number of family law attorneys in our incubator program. And when I talk to them, they start to like draw these blank faces, like, what would I do? How would I position that? Like, what does that look like? Can you just throw some of your ideas out there just to start to get our listeners' minds flowing? Like, what are some of the things that, if that was your focus right now, that you would be thinking about putting into reality as far as creating some sort of informational, educational product out there?
Well, the first thing that I would say is I'd back up a little bit. And if I was talking to an attorney who was at all interested, and this is what I tell my students as well, is and I have to tell them, 10 times a minute, you have to stop thinking like an attorney. You cannot think like an attorney. You've got to shut that part of your brain off because that's not going to work for you. Because you're going to come up with all the problems and you're going to second guess yourself. So that's number one. But for family law, I can think of a information product on how to deal with a narcissist as opposing counsel, a narcissist when, and that would be more for attorneys, but for clients, how to deal with a narcissist on when that's your spouse, how to co-parent with a narcissist, uh, drug and alcohol issues, how to get through a divorce when the other side has drug or alcohol issues, because it's a completely different ballgame. All of the normal advice that you would give a client, you kind of have to switch that on its head. all of the different stories and cases that you've had, there are other people who have had those cases. They don't know what to do. And quite frankly, there are a lot of, in my experience, there are a lot of family law attorneys who do not take a big picture. They just want to get their clients divorced, get the final pleadings done, and be on their way. They're not thinking globally. Like they're not thinking, okay, how is this parenting plan or visitation schedule, whatever your state wants to call it, how is that actually going to affect my client on a day-to-day basis? What does this provision look like on a Friday exchange at 6 o'clock versus this provision? And if you could have an information, that would be my first thing, is an information product that really works, helps people work through those details so that they can tell their attorney, maybe not even do it themselves, but know to tell their attorney, okay, I want a parenting plan that has fewer exchanges, less conflict, uh, and how to deal with when something comes up. Uh, and a lot of attorneys are afraid to have real hard conversations with their clients because they don't want to tick them off. So you could have an information product that gives uh, stronger advice to clients. Let's put it that way, where it's not offensive because you're not saying it directly to your client. You can say, oh, this other person, here, you go listen to this, take this little course, and it's somebody else being the bad guy. Explaining what the law is and why. There, it's endless what you can do.
Well, there you have it. That is Britta Long, and she's a rock star. Love all the ideas that she threw out there. Now, obviously, if you're not in family law, those weren't pertinent to you, but it should start you thinking on what are the possibilities. How can I position um, my knowledge to start to help people with these different issues that they have to deal with that are not necessarily specifically what I provide as a service in my law firm, but rather it's an adjunct, it's an add-on to it. And that's what's possible with writing a book. But writing a book, it puts you in a position of authority. Then it then has people coming to you. They want more information beyond the book, which is exactly what Britta has done. Now, my next highlight is Joey Vitale. Now, Joey Vitale is the founder and owner of Indie Law. They're a trademark firm, and he has created a course that is put side by side with his service. So you can hire him to do your trademarks for you, or you can buy his course to learn how to do it yourself. And he successfully navigated that. Love Joey, and I love the conversation that we had. I'm just going to share a small piece of it with you right now. So if you can just give people a little bit of a background, because I think this is your first time here on the podcast, correct?
I think so. Yeah, and no, I'm happy to share kind of how this happened. I guess the short but meaty version is um, I went to law school because my dad bribed me with a car, and I was the only student in my class who did not like to argue. And so after a couple of years of trying to uh, toughen up and be that courtroom litigator, being in depositions, um, trying to make that fit my personality, I realized that not only was it not a good fit for me, but there might be another audience out there that I'm a much better fit for. And so I found out about this world of entrepreneurship, and that they had this more proactive need for a lawyer with my type of skill set and personality. And I was I built what I now call like my kitchen sink business law firm. Learned practically that the legal issue that can really come back and bite the type of business owner that I have niched down and work closely with is trademarks. So we niched the law firm down to focus just on trademarks, And then we kept listening and we kept hearing that there were a lot of people who just weren't ready to invest one-to-one in working with our help, but still needed to learn not just how to search and apply for trademarks, but how to adopt some of that trademark strategy at a basic level to their naming strategy for their things like their business name, their slogans, their podcasts. So they weren't quickly running off with a name that was actually accidentally infringing on somebody else. And so, um, in the back of my mind, I always liked this idea of creating a course, but it was very much I'm listening to my customer, and this is what they are craving right now.
Yeah, I love that. And really, I mean, we talk a lot about niching down here on the podcast. Episode 29, why choosing a niche will skyrocket your firm. Um, it's interesting how you arrived at that niche, but it really doesn't matter how you get there. The key to success is being known for something to somebody. And if you can't figure out what that somebody is, then you're never going to get that exponential growth that people dream about when they start their own law firm. Sure, you can make a decent income as a generalist, but you're not going to skyrocket your growth. You're not going to have any sort of acceleration over a short period of time if you can't become known as the go-to person to do to create a certain widget for a very specific market. And that's really what you need to do when you're niching. And it's just great that you listened to the right cues and went ahead and did that. So how did you navigate this process of, hey, I've got this idea? Probably you were in the shower and you were thinking like, okay, what can I do that's going to help people who don't want to retain me? How'd you come up with this idea of a course, and what was the journey like to implement that?
We should all just spend more time in showers, right? I think that's the
Absolutely.
answer. So,
I will tell you, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. So Jamie Masters, who is she used to be Jamie Tardy. The Eventual Millionaire is her podcast. Very smart, down in Texas. I met her in person once. She told me that when she gets a new client, she sends them a gift. She sends them this washable notepad and crayons for the shower, for them to hang up in the shower, and so that when they have an idea come to them while they're showering, they can jot it down. And I thought that was genius. So this is where we went. So
I was wondering where you were going to go with that, but no, that's great. So, one of the first things that I saw as somebody who was interested in building an online course was it seemed like there were really two camps of experts and resources that could help me. One was, for lack of a better word, very much kind of into the label of an information product. And their messaging was very built around, if you want to sell this thing, we can help you get the technology right so that you can kind of put Facebook ads behind it. And you just do this stuff and you make money on the side, this kind of dream and promise of passive income. And the more that I kind of followed along there, I realized there was a second camp of people who thought about online courses completely differently. And that was really this thought leadership space. I love that you mentioned James Wedmore, because for me, like he's the main voice that I listen to when I think of that type of a thought leadership business. And it really isn't about your specific course and what you do and that you offer. It's the fact that you're different, like you said, your niche. The thing that I love about my niche is that my niche gave me a framework that is signature to my entire brand. And it fits my niche. So people outside of my niche, when they hear my framework and see it, they probably like, I don't think this is the guy I want to learn trademarks from. But that allows me to not really worry about competition in the marketplace, because when people walk down that like cereal aisle of courses that can help them with business legal stuff, I'm like the Fruit Loops, and they kind of get familiar with that brand, what they like and what they don't. And I think that one of the biggest traps that people can fall into right now is thinking that building a course like this can be as simple as just creating something, building the right technology around it, and then spending a lot of money for other people to make it work.
yeah, I love that. And um, you know One of the things that what's interesting is that in the Business by Design group, it attracted a number of attorneys who have left the legal space to create a thought leader information product business, and that's their business. And one of the things I was afraid of coming into, well, I don't know if it's a fear. Be really honest and right here on the podcast. It wasn't so much that I was afraid of it. It was that I didn't want to position this conversation in a, hey, you don't have to do law anymore. You can create information and sell that, and that's so much easier. And I didn't want to create that persona. First of all, it's not easier. They make it look easier. It's not an easy thing to do. But there's a lot of people who love what they do. They love the law, they love the practice that they run, but they want to serve more people. And that's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to the people who your heart's in the right place, right? I want to help more people. I just can't do it for free. I can't do it for a discounted price. I have a firm to run, but maybe there's other ways for me to serve them that would still make sense for me. I can still make money, lots of money from it. And at the same time, I can help more people. And I think that the people who I attract on this podcast, they're heart-centered people. They're here, even if their practice area seems to be a practice area where they may not be, their job is to be aggressive. Their job is to attack the other party. But the reality is that they're here to serve a population, and they want the best outcome for those people. So I love that. That's that's what attracted you to this, is being that thought leader. So what does a thought leader mean to you, Joey?
To me, it means that you are leading an impact with a unique perspective, and you're asking people to go along with you. The two ways that I'm seeing, the type of heart-centered lawyer that you're talking about build an online course, it's interesting. I think the one thing that we're thinking about is like, how can we create something that can kind of help solve the problem that our law firm solves, but for those with a smaller budget. An interesting kind of cousin to that I'm starting to see, and I think it's really exciting, is law firms and lawyers who are saying, hey, we know that our law firm can help our clients with this type of, for instance, like criminal law matter. But there's deeper issues going on in these types of cases that go beyond what a law firm can do. So what if we created something that also helped that type of a niche that's going through that experience? What if we as a law firm also created like some type of a course around handling addiction or health and wellness that we could provide as a complement to what our law firm is doing? And how much bigger of an impact could we make with something like that available? And I think the opportunities are endless here. But I'm saying this to get you thinking more creatively than just, how can I create a $99 widget and drive Facebook ads behind it?
Right. Yeah, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to sell anything for $99, but
Right.
what the interesting thing that you mentioned or highlighted there, it really got me thinking that I might have presented something incorrectly. So in episode 98, I think it was 98, maybe it was 100, either 98 or 100. Go listen to both of them. But in one of those two episodes, I presented the 3 different places that an information product would fit in your client journey. So the alternative to your service, so in other words, the DIY person who wants to just do it themselves and save some money, or they can't afford it, that's an easy one to say, okay, there are people who are not retaining me because they simply can't afford to, and therefore they're either going unrepresented or they're figuring out how to do it themselves, right? And that's one area. But the other area is to look at your client journey and look at the before they need you and the after they need you. And there's a ton of examples, and you just gave one of them of where that would be. Like, why is somebody getting arrested in the first place?
Right.
Can we fix the problem that happens before that? Why is somebody getting divorced? Can we fix the problem that's happening before that? So what if you create an information product or a group or something to give support to somebody who is having a rocky marriage and wants to fix their marriage? And now if they don't fix it, they can come to you, right? It's the natural next step. but you're able to help so many more people if you catch them at the step before.
Right.
And you're able to impact people in a different way. And the thing that I didn't do when I laid this out is I didn't look at it the way that you just did, which is, you know, when you're solving the immediate problem that your law firm provides, you're only putting a band-aid on it. And highlighting that step before and finding a way to fix the step before is a much better option if you want to impact, because you can fix the root of the problem, you can fix the foundation, and have a way bigger impact in this world. And people who are thinking, oh yeah, but then I'm going to cannibalize my law firm, I won't have any business. You'll still have business. There are going to be people who don't go through your program. There are going to be people who go through your program and they don't do what they're supposed to do. You know, but imagine how many people are going to go through and get help because of you, and you've now effectuated change in their life and have completely, you know, like altered, like, okay, they were on this path and you just gave them an exit ramp, and now they're on a different highway, and they would have never been there if not for you.
That's
like,
beautiful.
Just,
like that's really freaking powerful. And you know, just to offer another kind of in that same vein, another kind of fresh perspective on things is, I think we're all used to lawyers doing some type of a promotion and giving that lawyer disclaimer and saying, hey, this is free advice, but I'm not your lawyer, or doing some type of a call with people and saying this doesn't create an attorney-client relationship. What I now get to do inside my program is I get to tell people, hey, I'm not your lawyer, I'm something better. And I can actually help you in a deeper way in this program than I could if you hired me and paid even more money for me to solve your legal problem specifically.
yeah, I love that. That's freaking powerful stuff. Absolutely love that. All right, I'm going to switch gears here, Joey, for a moment, because I want to highlight what's possible. Can you share with us, like, it maybe in numbers or some way that people can start to understand what the potential is? Like, what did your law firm look like before you started selling this course on the front end? And what does it look like now that you have that plus your service, you know, based side of it? And for those who are thinking, well, if I offer a DIY option, nobody's gonna buy from me anymore, right? They're just gonna do it themselves. I can tell you, I am proof. I went to Joey and I said, look, I know that you offer a course on how to do this yourself. I don't have time to do it myself. I'm not interested. What is it going to cost for me to just hire you to do it for me, right? So there's definitely people like that. Even if your front end is selling a course, they're going to go and say, hey, this is not for me. What's the alternative? But talk to me about what did that look like before? What does it look like now? What kind of impact did that have on the growth of your firm?
Yeah, well, you know, so this month has actually been our best month ever. But so leading up to that, you know, the interesting thing about building a course is it requires you to learn marketing and sales strategy on an even deeper level, and the operations of it as well. It just requires you to really go through all of your processes with a fine-tooth comb. And so before I even started thinking about building an online course, I was spending, you know, most of my day doing client work. I was trying to figure out how I was going to respond to kind of unique situations, hopping on calls and feeling like I really wasn't sure where the conversation was going to go. Most of my sales were coming from new leads that I had to generate, not as much referrals. Now, because of the course, and I don't want to kind of just look at the course in the vacuum, because of the course and because of everything that my team has had to go through and learn to get that up to speed, we now have the processes in place where I'm only spending 15 minutes a day on client work. Most of the leads that we're getting are now retained clients and referrals. And so the law firm is almost operating on the back end where I don't have to market.
So let's just go back and just repeat that one more time. So how much time are you spending a day on client work?
15 minutes a day, if that.
Just want to make sure anybody who was sleeping, you know, you're just kind of like zoned out. Come back. Joey is spending 15 minutes a day on client work. Go on. You can continue now.
Yeah, I've got it on my calendar. It's 15 minutes where I pull up a certain spreadsheet and I see all of the work that I need to review and approve before it goes out, and any escalated questions for me to review and respond to.
Well, there you have it, Joey Vitale. And you heard it out of his mouth. 15 minutes a day on client work. That is the effect of putting a course into his law practice. And it's just mind blowing. And I hope that you're starting to see what the power of this is and what it can be. Now, if you want to catch the full interview with Joey, it actually is an amazing conversation. You can get that by searching for the Profit with Law podcast in your podcast directory. I believe it's episode 105. One of my team members will drop the link in the comments if you want to just click the link to go and check out that podcast episode. So the next speaker I'm going to bring on is Tangi Carter. And Tangi Carter, she did something a little bit different. So she works with female lawyer owners, and she is fostering a community of law firm owners who have something in common, and providing them help and support in their journey. So this is an example of the subscription or membership model that we talked about. She's also doing one-on-one work with her clients, but she's also talks about how that she's getting away from that. So I'm going to bring on Tangi here. And I'm going to tell you one thing about Tangi. So after I interviewed with her, just a couple of days later, I got a box at my home, and it was all kinds of goodies and a beautiful thank you note from her for giving her the opportunity to be on the podcast, which ended up swaying, leading me to want to highlight her here in the summit in some way. So I just want to point that out, because as you're going through this, there's going to be a lot of things that you can do along the way to boost your results, to make it more effective, to make things happen in a better way, in a quicker way. And this was a great example that if you're trying to build that authority, build that position of knowledge where you're going to attract people into your information product. One of the ways that you might do that is by being a guest on somebody else's show, or somebody else's blog, or somebody else's YouTube channel. And if you do things like what Tangi did, that can accelerate your growth. You never know who somebody's going to introduce you to, or what kind of impact that made that's going to provide additional opportunities. So here we go. I'm going to bring on Tangi right now. Tangi Carter. Tangi Carter owns a law practice of the same name. She's been a criminal defense attorney for 23 years, started off as a federal and state public defender, and then for the last 15 years has been running her own practice in various geographical locations. We'll allow her to give us a little bit of that background. But she founded the Peaceful Lawyer program, and she helps female law firm owners with their own business growth. And I'll let her describe to us exactly what that means and what she does. Tangi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to be here, and I love your podcast, by the way, because I've listened to every episode, I think, and I really enjoy it. I've learned a lot from you, so I appreciate what you're doing. Um, yeah, I have practiced for 23 years. I'm licensed in Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And I practice primarily throughout the state of Mississippi and Louisiana. So I have a pretty busy criminal defense practice. But I saw a need early on with needing, I created this program because it's what I wish I had had when I was a young lawyer. Not that we don't have access to mentors, not that we don't have access to that, but we're all super busy. I have had female lawyers or male lawyers who have helped me through the years, and I'm forever grateful to that. But this is a laser focused program so that we can help them get them from point A to point B. If they're a solo practitioner, or whether they're in a medium to large size firm and maybe they just want to make a lateral move, there is hands-on coaching available for them to grow their practice. we're going to also be having access to our community and to some courses later in the year. And we're really excited about that part, and also some group coaching. So it's, you know, I don't know. I found that we can be a rather pessimistic group of people sometimes, and we don't always, we're not always open to that kind of thing. So I think that it's very it's very important for us to have someone that we can go to, you know, with different problems, and you know, not be afraid. You know, some of these newer lawyers that I work with, they're like, well, this is, I know this is a dumb question. There's really, there really aren't dumb questions. We can't know everything. And we do a lot around hiring, firing, marketing, law office management. We, you know, we help them implement. I use the My case management software. There's so many other good ones, but we teach them how to use these programs. And many of the lawyers, I shouldn't say most, many lawyers I've worked with are not tech savvy, and I'm one of those. You know, I've had to learn a lot through the years, and so we use a lot of different systems. We use G Suite. There are many law firms that are not even using you know, they're using a Gmail account for their email. I'm sure you see that a lot. We use Acuity for scheduling. We use Google Calendar, My Case, and now all of these law firms now, right now, are learning how to use Zoom. And that's something we've been using with our out of state clients for quite some time. So I think COVID-19 is making everyone really look internally to see what they can do. I love your topic of information products, because I think it's the wave of the future.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Your, you know, what it is that you cover, and I maybe I want to talk a little bit more about your methodology and all of that. One of the things that I find is a lot of times law firm owners, they stand behind this thing of like, hey, we weren't taught business school in law school, right? They don't teach you how to run a law practice in law school, and therefore we're not equipped to do this. And you have to decide when you have that thought, you have that belief, you have to decide, is this something that I'm going to do something about or not? You know, and if it's not something you're going to do something about, then heck, go get a job as a lawyer. You know, don't run your own business. But hiding behind an excuse of why it's not working is not going to serve you. It's not going to do you any good. So recognize the fact that, hey, I have no formal business training. I'm not about to sign up to an MBA program. So let me find a way to get educated. And you offer a program. I offer programs. We have the 90-day law firm turnaround group coaching program where we take 90 days and we help lawyers get that foundation underneath them that they skipped, you know, from the get-go. And the only way to access that program is by scheduling a free coaching call with me. And folks, you can go to profitwithlaw.com/free coaching if you want to take advantage of that. But the other thing that we did is we looked at it and said, okay, that's a more expensive program. Maybe somebody's not looking to make that level of investment in their business. They're too early on. They don't have access to the funds, or they just feel like they're not far enough in the process. Although, you know, that would be a misconception, because even though I called it turnaround, even if you're brand new, having that foundation is critical to your success. But then during COVID, we introduced a membership called the Incubator, which is geared towards that attorney who's in the 0 to 250K revenue range. And it's a lot less access to me personally. It's a lot less hand holding, but we provide a ton of support. I partnered with a technology person. I partnered with a marketing person. So Mark Homer from GNGF, Melanie Leonard from Streamline Legal, and we each come in there and do a live 1 hour session every month. So there's actually 4 calls a month they have access to. And the more people that we get in there, the more people that we're helping. but it also demonstrates what an information product can look like, right? There's so many different, there's people who sell courses where you get access to the course, you have access to it for the life of the product, or or until the next revision, and you can go in there and you can consume the content, you can learn from it, and you can act on it. But then there's these other things like a membership where you're constantly paying for it, but it's a much lower ticket cost, but it provides either support or community that you desperately need as a law firm owner. And the other thing, the group coaching that I'm doing. So I know that you're doing a lot of one-on-one work, which I started with one-on-one as well. And the problem there is that you're really just trading what you're doing with your time, right? So instead of I'm spending my time representing a client, I'm now spending my time one-on-one with somebody else. Now, maybe you're able to charge more per hour, but it's not really a scalable model. So when I talk about information products, and you even alluded to the fact that you have new things coming down the road in the fall, you're introducing a group program, you're introducing some courses. So you already see that that's really where this is headed. And I want to encourage our listeners that even though Tanji decided to go and help other law firm owners, so she looked at her knowledge base and she said, okay, what do I have knowledge that I can share? And rather than looking at her criminal law background, she looked at her background as a law firm owner and harness that to sell that as her, the information she's selling. But I don't want you to think that you all have to turn into lawyer coaches in order to make this work. So, and you're going to see actually a number of the interviews I do happen to be lawyer coaches, because so far that's been the only model that you've seen. Like if you see somebody else do it and looks like they're achieving success at it, you're like, oh, hey, I could do that too. Let me do that. And I don't know, Tanji, if that's how you got started doing this. I want to ask you in a moment how that came about, because I'd be interested to see if that was what happened with you. And I mean, I don't believe any of us compete against each other. I think that we all have a specific area in the market that we fill. And when I ran the Law Firm Growth Summit back in December, we had 31 speakers. Probably 20 of them were law firm owner coaches in some way, shape, or form, if not more than that. So there's no shortage of people to turn to get help in your business, but understand that there are ways to take your practice, the knowledge that you have with what you do, and to put a product in front of your clients. Well, that was Tanji Carter. Tanji, well done. If you want to hear the entire interview, it's going to be released on our podcast. Somebody on my team is going to let you know the date of release for that, so you can look out for it. Make sure to subscribe to the Profit with Law podcast show in your podcast player if you want to get that when it comes out. Now, we're going to be rounding this out very shortly. We have our last lawyer that we're going to highlight, and that is Bobby Klink. Bobby Klink actually stopped practicing law for his information products business, and his business is very different than what we've been talking about so far. It is not coaching, it is not group programs, it is not a membership or a subscription model. Actually, he might do subscriptions. I'm not sure exactly how he's positioned it, but he sells legal templates to a specific audience. And I'm going to let Bobby talk to you about that. So here he is.
One case that came to mind, it wasn't even online entrepreneurs at the time, but they came to me as like local counsel for a case. But like they brought a guy on as they thought he was a consultant, a contractor. He thought, no, I'm a partner. And so there was this dispute, but there was no written agreement. And so you think about it, and you can kind of imagine this. I had to say, well, you might win, but the reality is you're not getting this case thrown out, because he's going to say, hey, you called me a partner. You represented the world. I was a partner, so I'm a partner. And it's going to be a trial, or you're going to just have to pay him off. And so that was the kind of thing that kept happening. And so that's what led me to this notion. I said, is there a way for me to help people who literally can't, at the time I was a $400 to $500 an hour lawyer, but even if you're a $250 an hour lawyer, drafting an agreement from scratch is not cheap. And so I just said, is there a way for me to provide something it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough. It's going to be better than nothing, in a sense, was what I was thinking. And that's what got me thinking. And I looked, I mean, candidly, I had used LegalZoom to create my will for my, when my daughter was born. So it's like, well, if they can do it, why can't I? Now, I don't have the fancy technology that they do where you answer a bunch of questions and it fills it all in and spits it out. I could figure that out, but I don't worry about that. But I use the same model and the same idea. And I said, I can do the same thing. And so kind of that's what got it started.
Now, what I find really interesting is here I am trying to open the eyes of the legal community to recognize that there's more potential and there's more that you can do than just providing the legal service that you provide. And you're a stellar example of that. I mean, here I've taken my knowledge, I've put it into, I've drafted essentially a bunch of documents and just put in some places where it says insert name here, insert other person's name there, and boom, I've got something that I can sell. I did the work once and I can just keep selling it over and over again, which is really the beauty of an information product business. And what I like is that this is a very different information product than what most of us are used to seeing out there. We're used to seeing training programs, membership sites, with ongoing support or community. This is where you have kind of a tangible product. It's virtual. It's a file that you're selling, but you're selling a tangible item, and you're solving a need, which is somebody who would not retain an attorney otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to somebody who would be left unprotected, and we're now serving that person. And that's in my intro to the show today. I highlighted that, which is there's so many people that we're leaving behind that we're not allowing to receive legal services because they can't afford, or it doesn't make sense for them. The risk is not great enough for them to engage us yet. And then at that point, it's okay, so screw you, and I love that your position to help people who are in that position where there is no answer for them.
Well, yeah, and look for like your listeners who want to like I had kind of decided I didn't really want to keep my law firm, and part of that was like literally for my personality, I chose completely the wrong practice area. I should not have been a litigator because the idea of fighting all day with people, sometimes about really stupid stuff like, do you have to give me a legible copy or not, like in discovery fights, was not, I just wasn't suited for that. But I had kind of made that decision. But for your listeners who don't want to do that, what I can tell you is I have people all the time who find me through these templates, but then want to hire me. And I'm like, no, I don't do that anymore. But aside from being a revenue stream where you're actually kind of expanding the people you can serve, it actually will be a great way to actually generate leads of people who are ready to hire you. I did that like a little bit back when GDPR was becoming a thing on this online privacy. A lot of people just wanted a done for you solution. And so I did a little bit of that, but nowadays I don't do it. And my team understands that. And I say, no, we're not taking that. But I mean, there's not a week that goes by without me having a client want to hire me because they heard about me because of my templates. So aside from that, it's out. And I realized I didn't answer one of your questions before because you were asking like volume. I don't know how many I'm selling on a monthly basis, but we're now at a point like now my focus is on building the business stuff side of my business. I don't really put much effort into the legal stuff anymore. And pretty much every month we have about $25,000 of sales just kind of clip through. It just kind of happens without a ton of effort. And there are not a lot of people in our space in the online world who can say that, who have a truly passive, it just kind of happens business. And I have that. And it's the kind of thing that if you can find the right thing to package up, you can make it work. But I mean, you do have to put some work in. Like you mentioned, it's different than a lot of people. Like I started out by trying to offer a course. And what I discovered is, and I guess I should have known this, in my space, people don't want a course. They don't want to learn. They just want their problem solved. And so it was like, okay, let me just solve the problem for them. And that's when I transitioned. Like I have training stuff that's free. I just give all that away. Anybody can take any of that stuff. I just charge for the templates.
Well, that's Bobby Klink, and fabulous, fabulous story. You want to check out the entire interview on the Profit with Law podcast. It's going to be dropped sometime in the next couple of weeks. Somebody on my team will let you know the date to expect that. But you see that you don't have to necessarily create a course. You can there's really a lot of different ways to provide information products for the law firm and position it. And he's, $25,000 of recurring revenue just from his templates being out there with really no effort at all. And then he does other stuff to make sure that they're bringing in additional funds into the business. But it really highlights the possibility. So we've heard from 4 different lawyers who have successfully created information products in some way, shape, or form. We talked about writing a book, then leading to a course. We talked about doing a course side by side with your a service-based business. We talked about creating a community, and we talked about creating legal templates. One thing that I will tell you is that I've mentioned that a membership or subscription model is a lower priced amount on a monthly recurring basis. And I just want to correct that. You definitely could have a higher priced membership. You could have let's say you're a business attorney and you're working with, million or multi-million dollar business owners. You can create a high level mastermind for your clients where you're charging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, and you keep it select. Maybe you have only like 10 or 12 people in there, but you bring these amazing minds together and let them collaborate, and you just oversee it. You just facilitate it, and you don't really have to do anything other than to bring them together and create that forum for them to have value. That is also an information product. That's also a way to generate revenue from this and to really increase what's happening with this with your firm. So we're going to go to our next session. There's really no break because this was an hour long. So we're going to jump right into the next session. Please go grab that link from your email. And I'm going to go live there in just a moment. And in our next session, we're going to be highlighting how to position yourself as an authority with Mike Saunders. So we're going to go and jump into there now. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope that this was helpful and information packed for you and really helped open your eyes to what is possible. Hi, I'm Moshe Amsel, and today you are attending an entire series of talks from people who have taken their knowledge and turned it into information products for their business. Now, whether you're going to use information products to help you get clients on the front end, whether you can use information products to support clients after they've worked with you, or whether you're going to start a whole new line of business, whether it's creating templates or whether it's completely exiting your legal practice. However you want to implement information products, just know this. Selling information products is the hardest, most difficult thing to do out there. You're essentially creating a need for something that doesn't exist. You're creating a product that's not done for you services. It's not something that somebody can just take and use and implement for them. You need to paint the picture for them. You need to let them understand and know what the value of that product is. There is a whole science and a whole business model behind it that's so different from the business model that you're used to executing on as a law firm owner. And that's why I think it's so important that if you see the value in implementing this type of business model or this type of add-on to your business, that you go to an expert who can help you see how to do it. They can show you the way. My coach and mentor, James Wedmore, opens up his Business by Design program only once a year. Now, he does a live series of training leading up to that open. At this point, the cart is open. It's closing on Thursday. So this is the opportunity for you right now to jump in, take advantage of it, and come on board and learn from the best of the best. James has taken his business to over $10 million in revenue annually. He has multiple programs depending on somebody's level. But right now, you can get into Business by Design, which has a slew of pre-created templates and marketing plans for you to execute on. More importantly, help you understand how to talk to your audience in a way that's going to really close the gap and allow them to come in and buy from you. So if you've been listening to the sessions today and you start to see the possibility, see what's available to you as an additional revenue stream to your law firm, you're already doing the work, you're already getting in front of people, you're already spending the money on marketing. Why not unlock another value point for you? Why not open up the door, the floodgates of additional revenue in your firm? And you can do that by joining James Wedmore's BBD. One last thing. If you do join, I host a accountability support group for people who join for the first 90 days. You can find all that information out on our webpage at profitwithlaw.com/BBD, profitwithlaw.com/BBD. Go check it out now and enjoy the rest of the day. Welcome to session number 3 here at the Unlock Your Hidden Revenue Stream Summit. I am super excited for what we have today. So far, we've had our opening keynote where I laid the groundwork for this. Then we brought on 4 attorneys who are successfully implementing information products in some way, shape, or form into their lives, into their business. And now we're going to hear from Mike Saunders. Now, Mike Saunders is um, he's somebody who talks about authority building. Very interesting fellow. But what's even more interesting is what he does. And a lot of the things that we need to do, we have to go out there and hustle and make happen. And he looked at the market and said, for somebody who wants to build authority and wants to position themselves in a position of authority, that can be a difficult thing to do. So why don't I help you do that? And you're going to learn all about that in this session, how he helps people with doing that. But it's also going to give you ideas of the steps that you can take, the things that you can do to allow yourself to put yourself in that position. Now, you don't necessarily need to use his services, but you can look at the steps that he takes in that service, and you can get ideas of how you can do this for yourself, for your law firm. Now, what's interesting is that although this session is right here in the information summit session, the information product summit sessions, because information products are marketed from a position of authority. That's how it works. You build an audience, and then the audience buys from you. It made a lot of sense to put it here, but the reality is that this would work no matter what you're doing with your law firm. So you can look at this from the lens of, hey, do I, even if I don't implement information products in my business, does it make sense for me to do something with the position of authority? So I'm going to bring Mike on here, and I hope that you enjoy this conversation. And here we go. I know that you have a book out called Authority Marketing for Law Firms. What I would like to know is just my audience might not know who you are. Let us know some of your backstory. How'd you get to becoming this authority positioning coach and to writing a book specifically for law firm owners? Maybe give us some of that backstory.
Yeah, so I spent about 12 years in the mortgage banking business and worked with one of the top banks out there. And then when 2007 hit, and we all know the crash, it just evaporated. So I went back, did my MBA in marketing, and then started my consulting firm. So this was 10 years ago, and I started making the same mistakes that many people make, which is I can do marketing for anybody at any time, doing anything, and come see me. And oh, you need this, I'll do it. And you were the jack of all trades, but master of none. And so I then about 5 years ago refined my marketing practice down to one thing. I didn't want to necessarily only say I only work with plumbers or whatever the case is. I wanted to do one thing for anybody because anything works for any industry. So rather than being a marketing consultant and getting lumped in with those spam emails and phone calls we get from India every other day, I wanted to I found a small group of consultants that we mastermind together, and we talk about how to be seen as that expert and that authority. And that's when the light bulb went off. And let me tell you, in my life, what happened. Have you ever heard of the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center?
No.
It's a division of the SBA, so the Small Business Administration, and they give free and unlimited advice to business owners, helping them start up, grow in all areas. So I've been consulting with them for 10 years. In fact, during my MBA, I was doing some research, contacted the local one here in Denver, and they came back and said, hey, can you come in and do some consulting because we need, marketing help. So anyway, I distinctly remember at one of the meetings, I had just come out with my very first book, and it was on business social media. And I was like, hey, guys, great meeting. And there's like 9 consultants around the table. And I was like, hey, I brought a copy of my latest book, my first book, to give everyone. And it was like, oh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much. And like 2 days later, one of the men called me back or emailed me and said, hey, could you come give a presentation to my class? I teach at this university down the road. And I was like, yeah. And so I gave a presentation, and then that led to a contract worth $9,000 teaching for them. And I 1000% track it back to getting attention in the right way, having a book. It wasn't like, hey guys, I came out with this blog post. It's pretty cool. You ought to read it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. This book caught attention. It got a guest speaking opportunity, and it turned into business. So I was like, hold up. I've been doing all of these, whatever you can name it. We don't even need to name tactics, but all the marketing tactics out there that are spray and pray. But when you can do more of a pointed marketing authority positioning approach, now the light bulb goes off. So I started offering these services, and I literally just cleared the deck on my business, stopped doing social media marketing, SEO, text message, whatever. And I did one thing: how can I help other entrepreneurs and business owners do exactly what I just did, which is get noticed for the right reasons? So I literally have like three offerings, and it's so cool to be able to go, you know what, you build 3 houses a year as a custom builder, you probably don't need this, but let me give you some helpful tips. But what I do is I work with people to help them be seen as that celebrity expert with very little of their time, because I have done for you packages. Well, anyway, how I evolved into that is seeing that I started working with some attorneys, and it's like, you know what, you go to law school and you don't get how to build your practice. We know that, but they're falling prey to all of these things out there that just either don't work or take so much of their time. So I adapted one of my teachings on authority positioning, and I structured this book, Authority Marketing for Law Firms, in a pretty unique way, because it has nothing to do with SEO, nothing to do with social media marketing, nothing to do with going live every day. It has all to do with the strategy and specific tactics on how to really stand out in front of specific industry sectors. So as an example, do you want to get, what are the highest paying cases that you could get? Maybe that is speaking in front of an industry association in telecommunications. Well, if you can be that industry expert because you wrote the book on that topic, or you have a podcast on that topic, now you might get invited to speak live or virtually. And then now that turns into large cases. I'm not talking about running Facebook ads. I'm talking about taking your intellectual capital, your thought leadership, and putting them into what I call authority positioning assets, which are long-term things that work for you forever. Because how long does a Facebook ad campaign work? As long as you keep feeding the machine. So that's the big thing, is these long-term assets. How could you be seen as the expert and not take hardly any of your time? Because if it's done for you, then you're like, okay, I can do that. Hand it to me. Tell me the 3 things to do, and my staff can take it from there. And then it really just elevates your game.
Yeah, so I love I love the concept of authority positioning. I am actually practicing that as we speak, um, hosting a podcast,
Yeah.
and writing a book
Yes.
is on my short list. Writing multiple books. I have a number of ideas and concepts that I want to put to pen to paper and print. Um, so I totally get the authority positioning, and I know the power of it. And folks, if you've been tuned into my world for any period of time, then you know that in March of 2019 I launched the podcast. December of 2019 we ran the Law Firm Growth Summit. From March to December. And of course I have my history, and I have the knowledge. It's not like I just woke up and said, "Oh, I'm going to be the
Right.
somebody who coaches law firms on how to grow," and I have no idea how to run a business, and I have no, like, so I have, of course, the know-how and the wherewithal. It's a matter of getting the positioning. So first of all, folks, I focused on a niche. I focused on law firms. I stopped saying, okay, I can help every small business grow their business, and instead said, I'm going to focus on one particular industry, and I'm going to focus there. Even there, that might not be niche enough. Maybe I should be focusing just on PI or just on estate planning. I have friends in the industry who are doing just that. They've been on my shows and stuff like that. So who they are. But once I did that, then I started the podcast. I was a nobody, right? My email list was 56 people when I started the podcast, and then throughout the year, and by the way, if you want to start a podcast, don't lose your momentum because of watching how many people are listening, how many people are downloading, because when you first start,
Yes.
nobody knows about it, nobody knows about you.
Yeah.
And that's an evolution that happens over time. The first 2 months that we were out, I think I had like a total of 100 downloads on like 10 episodes. You know how many people were listening to the show.
Right.
And but consistently doing that over time, And that grew. And what happened was, is through the podcast, relationships were built with other people who had a platform, other people who had influence. And then I ran the summit, and I brought all those people together and gave them all a platform to be on. And we had 2,300 people attend that summit. And of course, my list went from 50 something to 2,300 something. And now in 2020, there's a whole bunch of things that we're working on, and it's just created all of this momentum and elevated my status as an authority. And not like, it's not so much about feeling good about yourself as it is for people to look up to you and think of you as the go-to person, the expert that they
Yep.
want to tune into, and that's how you need to position yourself. I love that you call yourself the authority positioning coach, because you can be the authority, right? You can just say, "Hey, I'm the authority," and that's it. You're an authority.
Yeah.
Nobody's knighting people authorities,
Yeah.
but it's how you let the marketplace know that you're an authority that's really key.
Well, there's in marketing, teaching marketing, there's something called the 4 Ps: product, price, placement, and positioning. And positioning, by definition, is in the mind of the consumer. So, what do people feel and think about your brand in the mind of the consumer? So, it's interesting you brought that point up, because it really is how you position yourself. You might have the cure for cancer. You might have the most amazing legal defense and concepts known to mankind. But if you're not in front of people, if you're not positioned as trustworthy, because you could still have an AOL account and have all of this great knowledge, but they're like, I don't know, you don't even have a website, and they're not going to give you the time of the day. But if they would have, you would have just revolutionized their life. So think of it like this: um, when someone gets referred to you, and you have, as an attorney, you get referrals and introductions, and they're not going to just blindly pick up the phone or email and say, please, send me your bill and let's get started. They're going to research you. There's a wonderful book out. Have you ever heard of this one, called ZMOT? ZMOT.
No, I haven't.
So you can Google it and find a PDF download, and it's not like a pirated download. It's meant to be a PDF download. It's written by a former Google employee, and the whole gist of it is this: it's the ZMOT stands for Zero Moment of Truth. The moment of truth back in the day was, hey, I went to the car dealership, I met this guy, I got a glossy brochure, decided to buy the car, and the moment of truth is, do I like the car? Does it, last, and how does it drive? Today, the zero moment of truth is all the things we do before we get to the dealership. We research the brands and the models and the consumer reports and the Carfax and all these things. That's the zero moment of truth. It happens before the interaction happens. So as an attorney, the zero moment of truth is, let me check out those reviews online. Let me check out, their website, but I know their website is a sales mechanism. So I'm going to check out all the periphery to make sure they're a viable person, rather than just taking the word of this person that, you got on my radar because you were introduced to me, or referred to me. Now I'm going to go Google you. What do we see? And do we see more than only your LinkedIn profile and your website? So of course you want to have some good reviews. That's a whole different conversation, but that's social proof. That's third party social proof. But guess what else that happens? And I kind of coined the term authority positioning: assets. And think of like a website designer. Let me show you my portfolio. Here's this website I did. Here's this website. So I coined the phrase and got a federal trademark on authority positioning: portfolio. So how do people see you as an attorney? Sure, here's your legal, pedigree. Wonderful. You have to have that. And sure, here's these reviews. You have to have that. But when we go online and we look and we find that, oh, you were mentioned in the media. Oh, you wrote this book on, the 3 critical mistakes that organizations make when choosing a fill in the blank, attorney. And oh, you were interviewed on this podcast. I'm going to listen to that, because I don't want to pick up the phone and email someone until I get a little bit of back knowledge. And so now all these things out there online, like breadcrumb trail, drawing people to you. And have you ever heard of the buyer's journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's like what you mentioned before. It's like the academic way of calling it a sales funnel. Funnel really is drawing people through step by step to make a buying decision. Well, the buyer's journey really is, as a consumer, unless we're buying something like gum or a pencil, we don't make a lot of decisions on that. We just buy what we're used to. But a larger decision, house, car, picking an attorney, You're going to go through a buyer journey to go, do I trust this person? Do I trust the brand, the company? What are other people saying? Do they resonate with me somehow? I don't know. I mean, in Denver here, there's a firm that you have these billboards called Law Tigers, and they all ride motorcycles. Well, they don't only represent motorcycles, but the psychographics of riding. I'll bet you they have rides up in the mountains with a lot of their clients. So, the point is, when you want your people to draw through your buyer's journey to at least hat bat, meaning a consultation to see if maybe there's a way you can work together, you have to educate them enough so that you're seen as an educator and advocate for their success. And then maybe you get that at bat. That's a big piece in that authority that you have to be positioned as. Having JD is wonderful, first base, but the rest of it is they have to see you as credible, authentic, worthy, and all that to be able to see, can we do some business?
Absolutely. So I love this. I love this concept, and I have a number of questions around it. One question that I have is, how does this play into the other marketing stuff that we're hearing about all the time? Somebody needs to. When I think of positioning myself as an authority, am I constantly needing to put content out into the market? We mentioned a podcast as an option. Podcast only works if you're consistently doing it over and over again.
Yep.
A book is a different story. A book, you write it once and it's out there. It's something that exists and anybody can find it. You can hand it to people. My guess is that a book is not where it stops, that you then need to follow that up with speaking engagements and things like that come from the fact that you wrote the book. But how does this play into the other marketing concepts out there? And is it something that you need to do in conjunction with them? Like, I need to do this with my SEO strategy,
right?
Or is it kind of like, when I work with my coaching clients at the beginning, I tell them, we're starting with a clean slate. Forget everything you've done until now with marketing. We're going to look at all your marketing options, and we're going to figure out which is the right one for you. And so is this another one of those marketing things that we put on the chart that's, write a book or, authority positioning?
So the marketing answer is, it all depends. But think of it like this. It's not a replacement for, you don't need to do X, you need to do Y. It's not that, because authority positioning and having a marketing strategy with authority positioning elevates everything else that you do. Here's what I mean. I found this recently, I love reading old books, like the Frank Betchers of the world and the Napoleon Hills. But I found this old book, and the title really caught my attention, and the application today is so critical. But the medium is the message. So which would you think would be more authoritative and expert like? If there was a really chunky blog post, a really good legal content on a blog or an article, online, or if that was in a book. Obviously, we know the answer to that. But what if there was hey, I did this quick Facebook Live, talked about this topic, or what if that was on your own podcast show? Now people are like, the medium, the platform that it's on elevates the message. If you're seen like that, then that elevates all your other marketing. So how can that relate to social media? What would happen if you didn't have a vibrant social profile and you reached out to the CEO of whatever company and go, I'd love to connect with them, and you send that request through LinkedIn and they look at your profile and they're like, ignore. But what if you had some nice ass scene on? Hey, you can get the first chapter of my book called whatever, and it resonates with their industry. And now you're reaching out. They're like, oh, that person's legit. Like even subconsciously, they're like, all right, this person's not a hack. It doesn't have like 9 industries that they have done in the past, and now they're trying whatever. So if you're seen as that expert and that authority, it helps your social media be more effective. It helps your SEO be more effective. Now, SEO is a whole different strategy. I don't even touch that. But when you have good SEO for certain keywords, maybe there's a pay-per-click strategy, maybe there's an SEO strategy, but maybe some of these other things that are on page 1 of Google anyway about you, like when you have a certain keyword, like your location and whatever legal keyword you're looking at, you want them to click your website. But like I said, people intrinsically know your website is that sales mechanism. So what would happen on page 1 of Google if they're like, okay, here's that keyword, here's the people in the Google 3-pack, and here's, this person ranked pretty well, but they were also seen on, interviewed in, and now they might click on one of those two things and listen to the first 20 minutes of your podcast episode. Maybe they're not going to listen to the whole thing, but the fact that you're on a podcast talking about something intelligently, mention the media, maybe you had a book, but not even that right off the bat helps your SEO. Now that helps the click to that website. So I'm not going to say that it 10x's your SEO results, but it definitely enhances them when you're pre-framed. In NLP, it's called a pre-frame. When you're pre-framed as that expert, trustworthy expert, now maybe that SEO that's having your rankings increase, maybe that's going to help out that way. That's a really big piece to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other thing that you mentioned is that you do this as a done for you service. Can you talk more about that? Like,
Yeah.
are you writing a book for somebody? Like, how do you make this done for you?
Well, I have found just over the years myself that when you offer, and nothing against this model, but I just think that we all get so busy that it's like, instant message this and give me microwave that and drive through. I mean, we all are an instant gratification society. So I don't resonate myself personally with, let me go through a 12-week mastermind boot camp to learn how to do X so that then I can start working on maybe doing it one day possibly, and it'll just never happen. I got to week 3 and I'm bored. But if you go, here's why this is helpful, and I'm going to do it for you and hand it to you in about 2 weeks, and then teach you and train you on what to do to really amplify your business, now we're talking. So as soon as I made that shift to done for you, the light bulb went off. So here's how it looks. So one of my little, claims to fame is on the publishing side is, what are the first 6 letters of the word authority? Author. So why don't you go write me a book? Well, there's a disconnect between your head and your hands, right? You take that pen, you start writing or typing on the keyboard, and you get to a point where it's like, I don't know, I'm at a writer's block. But I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on a podcast interview with someone and inquisitively asked about their practice and, well, how does it work when this? And now how does that? And they just come to life, and and after the interview, they're like, I brought up examples that I never would have thought of. And that was just unbelievable. So it struck me one day, and I distinctly remember I was driving down the road, and this phrase, because I'd been doing this done for you publishing package for a while, but I now call it podcast, the number 2, to publish. So podcast to publish. And it is literally helping you become an Amazon bestselling author without writing a word. And the way I do it is I get with you and go through this strategy. You go through an online, exercise that takes about 45 minutes that really clarifies your competitive advantage, your target audience, and what you do to transform their life in any profession. But in the legal profession, what are the 10 questions that you get most from people? What are the next 10 questions that they should be asking you, but they don't even know to ask yet? And what is the transformation you do in their lives legally? And so anyway, we get that strategy put together, and then I set up 2 really vibrant, full-length podcast interviews that spotlight the firm and extract out all that knowledge in a really specific flow. And then those 2 interviews become authority positioning assets because they're now syndicated out through the whole, network. So now people can start seeing those. That's wonderful. But then I take that and have it professionally transcribed, run it through editing, proofreading, make it flow as a conversation. See, the worst thing in the world is to read another textbook. No, don't think about a book as your law school books that you could barely get through. This is a book that you can read in a weekend because it flows. It's conversational. So literally, you have this strategy call on the front end, 2 podcast interviews, and then I'm going, oh, hey, here's the cover. What edits do you want? Okay, done. Oh, hey, here's the draft. Go through that. Just make sure, you don't want to add a line or 2, but done. And then I take that and we go Kindle, paperback, bestseller, and it is done in 30 days or less. So done for you is a massive thing. And then again, like you mentioned with podcasting, it doesn't matter how many book sales you get. It doesn't matter how many podcast downloads you get. You should have a podcast show, because when you are the one asking the questions, you're the one in that position of authority. But yet start Googling around how to start your podcast and what information or technology do you need. But what if I did it for you? What if I talk through the strategy so we know exactly how to use a podcast to grow your law firm? And then I just did it for you. And all you had to do was drop an MP3 in a Dropbox folder, and poof, I take it from there. I show you how to use it in your business development. I get it all the syndications done, the intros, the outros, everything done for you. And now that feels like, okay, I don't have to go learn something and hope I'm doing it right. You're doing it and then telling me what to do with it to integrate it in with our business. Because like you said earlier, yeah, you have a book, but then what do you do with it? Yeah, you have podcast episodes, but you got to keep up with it. And yes, you do have to keep up with it. But let me tell you one tip that people don't think about either the book or the podcast. Through that buyer's journey, don't you agree, Moshe, that you get questions from even attorneys you work with about, hey, how does your program work? Or what about frequently asked questions? What would happen if your response maybe was a quick video or a quick email back, but it said, oh, you know what? That's a really, really good question. In fact, I literally did a podcast episode on that very question. Here's the link. Listen to it, and then let's circle back around next week and talk, and then go from there. Well, now they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then maybe you were interviewing a thought leader about that specific, issue. And now they're hearing this interaction and they're hearing the energy in your voice and the passion in your voice. And now they're learning from that podcast episode. And you learned that, or you use that as a business development tool to give them information and to prop you up and position you as an expert. Way back in the day, I remember this financial planner he wrote a book literally this thick. It was called Missed Fortune. And it was talking about how to use this financial tool. It was just really complicated financial, but he literally would never meet with someone until they read the book. So he would mail it out to them and go, okay, read this before you come in. It's called assignment selling. I don't think we have to be that, forceful about it, but having these little tidbits like, hey, here's this podcast episode. And when you come in, hey, I'm going to give you a copy of my book because that's going to be something really, really helpful to help you understand the strategy that I go through. So all of that done for you, because I guarantee you, if we pulled up right now, everyone listening to this interview and said, right now, let's look at your calendar. There's like 10 seconds here of open time and 2 minutes. You're busy. You don't have time to learn all this and do all this, but you know that if this was working for you, that it would elevate your practice above your competition. Why not have it done for you? But it is done with you, because there's never anything that surprises you. It's done for you because it's the feeling that there's no work on your part, but you have control all the way through to know, oh, I love that. That's good. And then boom, you're not having to expend the brain power to learn or hope you're doing it right.
Yeah, I love this concept, and I'm a big fan of done for you services. I think that too many lawyers and as business owners try to do things themselves, and it's not the best use of their time. I do think that at certain steps of the way, they're learning how to do something is really important, because you need to oversee that.
Yes.
So like, for example, if you're implementing practice management software in your firm, right? You need to know whether people are using it properly. You need to know whether the information is actually there that you need. You need to know how to get information when somebody's not reachable or inaccessible. So it behooves you to learn the piece of software alongside the people in your firm. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you need to learn it to the point where you're the one installing it, you're the one setting it up. You just need to be a user of it like everybody else. So it's kind of like the same thing. You need to be able to hit record. You need to have a microphone. You need to be able to hit record and record that MP3 file, know how to save it. Yeah. But you don't need to know how to edit it. You just don't need to get lost in the weeds for that.
And you don't need to shoulder all the work yourself, because I would even submit this to you. I had a call yesterday with someone about a podcast, and they've got a whole team. And I said, here's the deal. And the owner's name is Eric. I said, Eric does not need to do everything himself, because the person that handles this division of the business, this vertical, that person has 2 or 3 people on their team. And so they can do episodes on that topic. And so probably the principal or the owner, they're doing like 1 episode every quarter, because they know their team they already trust is going to say and do, all the right things. Everyone's getting involved. And then that projects an even higher level of authority, because it's not just one person. You've got a whole team, because I just heard your guy talking about X, and that was really helpful. And then you came on talking about this, and boy, I want to be part of that team. So yeah, don't think to do it all, know it all, or actually execute everything. It's a collaboration. And when you have someone that's a guide, I like to say, I'm not a sage on a stage. I'm a guide on the side. I will guide you through. I will coach you like I'm a coach. I'm going to coach you through why it's important, do it for you, and then coach you on how to implement that so that it's part of your business. And you mentioned about, like the video. Think of it like this. Maybe there's an attorney that would say, you know what, our process is when we have people that would schedule up a time to come in or to schedule up a Zoom, we know about a week ahead, we know their appointment's coming up. What would happen if their email confirmation is, dear so-and-so, looking forward to connecting with you next Thursday at 2 p.m. In the meantime, just wanted to send you a link to some of our, thought leadership articles. Here's a link on Forbes that we recently had produced. Here's a podcast episode where our owner, our principal, was really interviewed about a really critical piece of the case like we're going to talk about for you. And then also here's a link to our book on it, whatever the case is, but you pre-frame that meeting. So when they come on the Zoom or the in-person meeting, now all of a sudden they're not seeing you as some salesperson attorney. They're seeing you as an attorney, that's optimized, amplified with some of those things. Like they didn't have to listen to every syllable of that podcast episode or read every word of that article or book, but the fact that you had it, that's what sets you apart.
Yeah, we're doing this now here intuitively because now that I've got 90 plus episodes, the time of this recording, there's 91 episodes. By the time you guys listen to this, we'll probably be past 100. We have this wealth of information that's already there. I do free coaching sessions leading into my group coaching programs. And for those of you who don't know about that and are interested, you can go to profitwithlaw.com/free coaching. You can sign up for a free coaching session there. But on a free coaching call, I can tell you that on average, if I don't mention a minimum of 3 podcast episodes somewhere throughout the 90 minutes that we are together, to say, hey, I know we brought up this issue. I just want you to know, take a note. I have an episode that deals exactly with that. It's episode number such and such, and go listen to it after we're done. So in that coaching call, even if they didn't move forward with me, right? Even if they didn't take the next step into the coaching program, they got a lot of value in that coaching session. They now have answers to some of their questions by just going back to listen to more episodes, further elevating my authority, further elevating the possibility that one day they will decide to move forward with the next step with me. And the other thing is that when I outreach to new people on social media, so when I introduce myself to new people on LinkedIn, we have a process that we use here to connect with new people on LinkedIn. And what I do is in my initial message to them, so when I first reach out to connect, I say, hey, I'm looking to connect with law firm owners like yourself. I'm the host of the Profit Law Podcast, the Law Firm Growth Summit. So instantly they know why I'm trying to connect. But once they accept the connection, the very first message I sent to them is, hey, I'd like to get to know more about you. But as a law firm owner, I wanted to just share with you that I have this podcast. And one of the things that people ask me is like, okay, what is the best, like if I had to listen to one episode, like what's the best one to listen to? Here are the top downloaded episodes. I give them the 3 top downloaded episodes of all time in that initial message. So I know I'm giving them content that other people have loved. Yep. Now obviously I'm fueling the fire on those downloads because I'm choosing those same episodes to keep sharing. But would you know that the top downloaded episode of my podcast of all time is a replay of the Q&A call on the marketing night of the Law Firm Growth Summit? So it's like a 2-hour Q&A call where people are just asking questions about marketing and have a panel of experts that spoke that day that are answering it. It's not even my stuff. It's not even like the episode I did with my content. I'm just facilitating it. But that's, people are loving that episode. So
let's check this out.
Highlighting it.
That's an astounding idea. What if we put a pin in that and did what you said at the very beginning? Like, hey, when you notice a good idea, how can we adapt that for our business? So here's an attorney listening to this interview going, hey, well, Moshe said his greatest podcast episode was frequently asked questions because why? They're real questions that people were concerned with. So let's flip that around and go, here's a writer downer. As an attorney, do you have a Facebook group or page or however you communicate to your audience? Why don't you put it out there and go, hey guys, regarding whatever sector or question, what's the biggest things that concern you about whatever? What if they did even just a YouTube video or a Facebook Live or something where they took frequently asked questions from their audience and they responded, they did a Zoom meeting with 10, 15 people on there and however you need to do it legally, but without giving legal advice, but speak to those things. Because if you found that FAQ session was really popular, maybe people in their industry would go, wait a minute, on PI, I did have a question with what if this and what if that. And you sent me this session that you did, this brainstorming session, and that question was really, really amazing because here's the questions we cover. That's simple and easy. And how much does that cost? Oh yeah, nothing. That's reaching out and connecting to your audience. Let's bring up another Seth Godin, tribes, right? Creating warmth and engagement within the audience, or he calls them the tribes, because then when they speak and you listen, they're a willing buyer.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea to turn it around for our audience. So thank you for putting that spin on it. And folks, you can do so many different things with this. It doesn't have to be video. It doesn't have to be audio. It could be a write-up. It could be that you just send out an email, to the people you're connected with, or put a post on social media and say, hey, what questions do you want answered? Or you could do like an ask me anything. Hey, I'm doing a Monday ask me anything. You put the post out on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you are, and just let people ask questions and let that build up over time. You'll see which one gets the most interaction. Like when somebody writes a question and all of a sudden everybody's pouncing on with adding on to that question or clarification points or having an opinion about it, that's when you hit a sore topic. Or
write
something
an article on that particular one and go deeper and do a in-depth, whatever you want to call it, case study or mastermind or whatever. Yeah, let the public speak. And when your public, your prospects are like, boy, I'm just really confused about, give it to them, deliver it. Because, I like to say, and I know you've heard this before, but be that educator and advocate for the success of your target audience. Teach them, don't tell them. Have you ever heard of, oh boy, the name just left me, but, the Ultimate Sales Machine?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Back in the day, he comes in and he's like, don't sell. He would take these huge sales organizations and say, stop selling, teach. And when they flipped it around to going, hey, here's some pros and cons and myths and misconceptions and things to consider, and let me know if we can help you, they're like, hold up. The other guy was just like pressuring me to sign right this second. And you're like, yeah, I just want you to make an decision. That just draws people to you because it's like, I could sell you right this minute if you wanted to, but make an informed decision. Well, in legal matters, maybe it is something where you really do need to investigate some things and feel comfortable. So give that to people, play into that, because if you were buying a house or a car, you're not going to go with the very first person. You want to do a little bit of homework. Let your prospects do the same thing. And when you're giving that to them and guiding them, and here's another little ninja tip. If you know that in a certain type of legal case that they need to ask these 3 questions, whatever these 3 questions are, what if you were the ones providing those questions? Say, hey, I know as you're searching around for law firms to represent you, you're going to have some questions. And here's the top 3 that you must know. When this question comes up, the firms that you're talking to must answer it this way, because the way that we handle our cases is XYZ. And then the other question is, you have to be able to answer it this way. Now, what is that doing? They're like, oh, cool. Because I am going to call around and I'm going to ask these 3 questions. And they're always relating the other firm's answer to the question back to what yours is. Because you're like, hey, here's the reason that they need to answer it this way. And they're always comparing to you. And then subconsciously, they've got you elevated because they read your this and listened to your that. And now you're giving them some helpful tips. And they come back and go, you know what? These people just didn't even know how to answer the question. So yeah, when can we connect?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. A lot of pre-framing is an art, and if you know what, there's a lot of education that you need to have as a firm owner, and one of the things I want to be careful about is not to overwhelm you. Walking away from this interview to be like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out, I got to learn that. Pre-framing is an art. It takes it takes practice, and to find the right things, and a lot of it follows neuro linguistic programming, NLP. So it would behoove you as a firm owner, as somebody who needs to be in the seat of negotiation, needs to be able to persuade people, that you learn those things. But it's not required. For
Yep.
you can achieve success without it. It'll just like we said a lot earlier in this interview, it'll increase your percentage of conversion. It'll increase your ability to succeed. So I think that all these things take one day at a time. Start to add to your skill set slowly, and eventually you'll have this really good arsenal of skills that is just going to it's just going to make you that rainmaker. That you hear about and see about, and you're like, wonder how come I'm not there. You can be. It's just
Yep.
add one skill on top of another.
There's a phrase that solves that entire concern of being overwhelmed and what do I do when and where. Real is rare. Because whether you said this or did that or whatever,
Mike, just
when you do
repeat that
interact with people,
repeat that phrase one more time because you got chopped off there. So
okay, real is rare.
perfect.
Being authentic, being transparent, caring, not trying to fast talk someone or close the deal. You know, so many times when I have a conversation with someone, I'll even start off by saying, look, at the end of this call, I'm not going to ask for your credit card. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm just going to learn about what you need and present some ideas. And if there seems to be, if you resonate with some of them, or there seems to be, we want to work together, that's great. We'll call whenever next week. I'm not going to push you, but just tell me, what are you struggling with? Real is rare. And depending on the legal matter, these might be like gut wrenching legal matters. It's not just like, oh, file this and then let me know when it's done. Sometimes it's like gut wrenching, and you need to be compassionate, caring, transparent, authentic. So when you are real, that just smooths everything out. So that transcends anything that we're talking about here today. And then when you're real and authentic and you're seen as that expert, all of that just comes together so nicely. So yeah, that's a really, really good point you bring up, Moshe.
Yeah, and we were talking about this in our green room conversation.
Yeah, literally.
Because we were talking about your your video setup and my video setup, and this is how we ended up. Like, just be yourself, like
Yep.
just be real, just show up as yourself in the audience, and
Yep.
and don't be so worried about how you look and what image are you portraying.
Yep.
Like, just be
I was
you.
watching a Facebook Live. One of my clients was doing this Facebook Live, and he's a motivational speaker. And he was in the middle of this thought, and he sneezed, just a big old sneeze, and he kept going. Anyone else would have been like, cut, let me start over. He just went, and I'm like, yes, because if you have to scratch your nose, if you have to adjust your microphone, we're real, we're human. And if the dog barks in the background, okay, we had some work going on outside. Being real is where it's at. And because really, people are like future pacing to what it would be like to work with you. And if you're just normal, approachable, helpful, listening, that's the way that they know that they're going to get when they're working with you during the process of the case. So I think that's a really big thing. And that has nothing even to do with, marketing or authority positioning. It's just like caring for people.
Yeah, these days, anybody who's listening to the podcast with good headphones on is going to hear my kids, my dog, because I can't help what what the situation is. They're here in the house, and that's where the recording's happening. Just during our interview, I don't know if you heard it, but my dog has been barking. My kids are screaming upstairs. I mean, I'm like, I keep hitting the mute button, hoping that that people are not going to be able to pick up on it. But ultimately, it's that's the reality. Hey, look, I'm a dad of 5 kids.
Yep.
I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're just going to scream when they're going to scream.
Yeah.
And I've got a dog who, he loves the mailman because the mailman gives him a treat. So when the mailman comes at this time of day, he's going to be barking at the window until the mailman goes by. And that's just the way it is. All right. So Mike, I have a question for you, and then I want to wrap this up because we're just about out of time.
Okay.
It sounds like this is a great idea. Like, in concept, like, okay, great. We went through this whole thing, and I'm sold. Right, I want to be an authority. I want to position myself. I want to call Mike right now, and I want to get going. What kind of budget is somebody looking at to become an authority? Done for you means, instead of me spending my time, I'm spending my money, right? So if somebody's a brand new law firm with no budget, obviously they can't do that. So at what level, at what point should somebody say, okay, this is something that I should consider and look to have done for me, as opposed to needing to put the sweat equity in?
Yeah, great question. And I'm not going to shy away from it and go, well, it's all customizable and I'm not going to say anything, because it really, you need to have a frame of reference. So it depends on what you're looking to accomplish long term. It depends on the size of the firm. If you're a solopreneur or solo attorney, you're not going to be, you signing up for a year-long, massive package, you're going to dip your toe in the water. But yet, if you are a larger firm with multiple lines of business and people handling each one, you go, look, I can task this person to do this. Let's roll. I've got a package for each of those. So, for instance, if it was just a matter of, look, you know what, I could talk on a microphone and I can be interviewed. I'm not ready to do a podcast. Well, let's just do a series of interviews on my show where I do the interview, spotlight your business about a specific thing so that we can have like a point of reference for that buyer's journey. And we write a media and press release about that and get that syndicated out there online so that you can use it in your business development process. You can be seen online. And that's a simple first step. And that's as low as $500 for one interview where I do a bundle of 3 for $1,000. Simple. If you start now getting into podcast and doing the book production, so I'll just give you an idea there, having your own podcast show all set up, done for you, $250 a month for up to 4 episodes. There's people that charge $300-400 a month just to get you interviewed on a couple shows, not running your show for you. So super affordable. And then the book, literally, I've got different packages, but it ranges anywhere from $1,500 to $15,000, and it all depends on what you need. So it's not like, oh my word. Literally, I was doing some research this weekend for an event that I'm doing with the Strategic Alliance, and we're looking at these book packages, and there are people that literally, truly are charging, and I've got this all screenshotted and documented, charging between $30,000 and $60,000 to get your book done. That's insane. You might need a book for this vertical and that you don't want to be paying that. So being able to be in between 1,500 and 15,000 on the high end, which also that higher end includes a podcast package. So it's nowhere near unaffordable, but it definitely is something you got to start somewhere, and you don't do it all at once. You start small and you see how that gets integrated into your business and how easy that, like, oh, do you normally send an email confirmation for a meeting coming next week? Oh, of course. Well, then all you have to do is add this piece to it there, and that'll help, you be pre-framed well. Oh, I can do that. So it's not hard. It's just let it be done for you and let it fit your budget. But yeah, like you can tell, real is rare. I'm authentic, where I'm not going to fast talk someone into doing something that doesn't benefit them. I'm open to having a conversation, learning about what the need is. If there's something that fits, great. If not, we'll talk later. I'll give you resources. I'll help you with anything that I can help with. And starting with a copy of my book, Authority Marketing for Law Firms. I can give a free copy of the book away.
Well, there you have it. That was Mike Saunders, and that was a wonderful, wonderful interview, and great conversation around positioning yourself as an authority. And obviously, you can see how Mike has this process down pat, and he's able to take people through it and do it for them. You can do this for yourself. You can go through the process yourself, or you can invest some money and have Mike help you with that. We're about to cut to a break. We're going to do a lunch break. We're going to leave for almost an hour. So 2 p.m. Eastern, which is just shy of an hour from now, we're going to return with our next session. And that's marketing and information product with Andy Stickle. Andy always draws a crowd. Make sure that you come and join for that session. He's got great information. He's just an amazing marketer. And I think that you'll learn a ton from that session. I've also been talking about James Wedmore. James Wedmore has created a multi-million-dollar information product business, teaching other people how to create their own information product business. And he has thousands of clients that have literally built high 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure businesses with his direction and coaching. And he has a free 8-part video series walking you through the process of creating an information products business. And I'm not going to shy away from the fact that, hey, he's the expert. Go and watch his stuff. So we're going to drop a link to that video series here in the comments. It's profitwithlaw.com/video series. It's absolutely free. You can binge watch it. Don't watch it now. Go sign up for it. Watch it tomorrow. Stay with me today. Let's go through this. But definitely go and binge watch that series, because I think that is going to help you tremendously. And you'll see that he has supports. He has a free Facebook group you can join and start to dip your toe in the water of creating an information products line for your law firm. Now, if what Mike Saunders shared is something that you're interested in taking advantage of, he has a couple of offers that he asked me to share with you. First is you can download his book for free, and that's the Authority Marketing for Law Firms book, and you can go to profitwithlaw.com/authority book. The link is also in the comments. It's also scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. So you can go to that link and download his book for free. The other thing is that he's got this booster pack. So basically, your first Authority booster pack he'll do an interview with you on his podcast, and then they'll do a PR press release round for you, and you can get a single or a triple pack. So the single is $4.97, the triple pack, 3 of them, is $9.97. And if you want to dip your toe in the water of working with Mike and see what that looks like, you can always elevate from there to creating your own podcast or adding a book. But if you like the done for you model, then you want to go to profitwithlaw.com/authority to check that out. So folks, thank you so much for everybody who's been participating live with us. If you're catching this on the replay, I appreciate you as well. It's impossible for everyone to be here live. We have people from all over the world. So some of you, it's the middle of the night and you're sleeping. Totally get it. And that's why we wanted to run it in the Facebook group where you can come back and watch it later. Throughout the week, we'll do some watch parties and stuff like that. But you're beginning to see that there's a process behind this. You're beginning to see that there are steps that you need to take in order to create an information products business. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not an overnight success thing, but it is something that will solve lots of problems that you have with your law firm. And it is an amazing opportunity to elevate yourself and change the way that you think about where your clients come from and how you serve your clients. So with that, I'm going to cut to lunch. I really appreciate you being here, and please join me for our session with Andy Stickle coming up at 2 Eastern in about 54 minutes or so. We're going to go live 5 minutes before to give you a chance to join us, and hopefully we'll get the right link this time, so I apologize for the confusion there. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Moshe Amsel, and today you are attending an entire series of talks from people who have taken their knowledge and turned it into information products for their business. Now, whether you're going to use information products to help you get clients on the front end, whether you can use information products to support clients after they've worked with you, or whether you're going to start a whole new line of business, whether it's creating templates or whether it's completely exiting your legal practice. However you want to implement information products, just know this. Selling information products is the hardest, most difficult thing to do out there. You're essentially creating a need for something that doesn't exist. You're creating a product that's not done for you services. It's not something that somebody can just take and use and implement for them. You need to paint the picture for them. You need to let them understand and know what the value of that product is. There is a whole science and a whole business model behind it that's so different from the business model that you're used to executing on as a law firm owner. And that's why I think it's so important that if you see the value in implementing this type of business model or this type of add-on to your business, that you go to an expert who can help you see how to do it. They can show you the way. My coach and mentor, James Wedmore, opens up his Business by Design program only once a year. Now, he does a live series of training leading up to that open. At this point, the cart is open. It's closing on Thursday. So this is the opportunity for you right now to jump in, take advantage of it, and come on board and learn from the best of the best. James has taken his business to over $10 million in revenue annually. He has multiple programs depending on somebody's level. But right now, you can get into Business by Design, which has a slew of pre-created templates and marketing plans for you to execute on. More importantly, help you understand how to talk to your audience in a way that's going to really close the gap and allow them to come in and buy from you. So if you've been listening to the sessions today and you start to see the possibility, see what's available to you as an additional revenue stream to your law firm, you're already doing the work, you're already getting in front of people, you're already spending the money on marketing. Why not unlock another value point for you? Why not open up the door, the floodgates of additional revenue in your firm? And you can do that by joining James Wedmore's BBD. One last thing. If you do join, I host a accountability support group for people who join for the first 90 days. You can find all that information out on our webpage at profitwithlaw.com/BBD, profitwithlaw.com/BBD. Go check it out now and enjoy the rest of the day. Welcome back to the Unlocking Your Hidden Revenue Stream Summit. We are going into, what session number are we up to? Session number 4. This is going to be the marketing session with Andy Stickle. If you've been with me so far, then you are a superhero. I appreciate you spending the day with us. If you're catching this on the replay, awesome. Please make sure that you continue to watch all of the sessions because every single one stacks on the next to create this journey for you where you can fully understand what is involved and how to get started with information products in your law firm. We're going to have a Q&A session, a Q&A panel later today at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be session number 7. So that's coming up really quickly. And I encourage you, if you have questions, you can ask them as we go along. My team is gathering those questions so that we can have those answered on the panel later on today. So today's session, session number 4, is going to be with Andy Stickle. Andy Stickle is an owner of a marketing agency for law firms, also created an information product around law firm marketing for the DIY folks, and he spends a ton of money on advertising. He is a great, an amazing marketing mind, and I thought of no better person than to highlight him here on session number 4 to help you with marketing for law firms. So sit back and relax and enjoy the conversation. Here we go with Andy. Welcome to another amazing session here on the Hidden Revenue Summit. For the podcast listeners, welcome to the Profit with Law podcast. We're going to be replaying this particular summit session on the podcast, which is why I did that for you. But folks, we've been having a great journey so far. And one of the most important things to understand and talk about is marketing your information product. And marketing your information product looks or can look very different than the way that you're marketing your legal services. And that's why I felt like it was important to have a complete session talking about that. Our guest and expert on this specific topic is Andy Stickle. Now, I know that we have an eclectic, widespread audience today on the summit. So some of you may not know who he is, but many of you, especially the US-based attorneys, probably know him from his videos in your Facebook feed. Andy is one of those people that as soon as you pay attention to one of the things that he's done, he basically never will leave you alone ever again. And I love that about him. And I love that I continually see him coming up in my feed. That's a way, an indicator for me to know what volume that person is doing on Facebook advertising and their success rate, right? Like you can't keep spending money if that money is not coming back to you. So I thought of no better person than to bring Andy here to highlight on this particular session. But I also want to get into what Andy's doing as far as information products, because I think that you can learn a ton. He doesn't run a law firm, but he runs a marketing agency. And how does the marketing agency and his information products business work off of each other? Because I think that that's going to help highlight how you can implement information products and work your law firm services off of that. So Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
All right, awesome. Andy is he's been on multiple events of ours, and every time he blows everybody's minds. So we're going to try to do that again today. Andy owns the marketing agency Social Firestarter. And Andy, if you can just give us a little bit of a backstory of how you got into information products specifically from that marketing agency. And then we'll talk about what that's made possible for you, what it's done for you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so what I own an agency. We do marketing for about 70 law firms, give or take 1 or 2. And the problem with a client-based business, and I mean, I love my clients, but as anyone knows, when you have 70 clients, you have 70 bosses, essentially, you know, so you may own your own business, but you still have to answer to people. You still have to do meetings. You still have to do phone calls, emails. You have to produce results, all that type of stuff, you know? And what I wanted a way that I could increase my, I honestly, frankly, make more money without having to bring on more clients. So that's when I started thinking, okay, well, what if I just, instead of bringing on more clients, what if I started teaching lawyers how to create more, or how to do their own marketing? And that's really kind of why I got into it. That was probably 3 years ago now. And, we've done, well over 7 figures with the course that I created. But it hasn't been as simple as a lot of people would have made it out to be when you just start. It's that old that graphic where it's like what people think success looks like, and it's a straight up and arrow, but what it actually looks like is just like a tangled mess. That's really exactly what it is. It's a different animal than how you would market any business, be it a law firm or a marketing agency or anything. But when you actually get it dialed in, it's a huge opportunity. And the nice part about it is that it's mostly profit, because if you're selling digital information, you're basically paying for ads, and you have and the ads, or the product fulfills itself because it's videos that you created one time. And then from there, it's just about scaling it and selling more and more and more. So it's really interesting, but again, it creates some interesting problems that if you're going to be successful in anything, life is all about solving problems. And I think when you solve enough problems, then you get to be a millionaire. That's that's what somebody told me once, and I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, so I love that we went through this. And what I want to the first thing I want to point out is, have you seen people come from your information product side? In other words, they bought a course from you, they're doing things themselves, and then they said, hey, I don't want to do this myself anymore. Here, can you do it for me?
Yeah, we get a lot of people like that. I would say probably a third of our agency is people that bought my course and then ascended to the next level. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. There's a concept called a value ladder. And my agency is part of that value ladder. The course is part of that value ladder. My book, How to Get More Law Firm Clients, is part of that value ladder. And basically what that means is that as people consume more and more of your content and more of your services, the bottom, you can picture it almost looking like steps. The bottom steps are very, very inexpensive or free, and then a lot of people will consume them. And then as they go up the value ladder, the services start costing more money and more money and more money. And what ends up happening is less people buy, but as things get more expensive and less people buy, but you end up making more money at the top. So if you look at, kind of illustrate my value ladder, at the very bottom is all my free content. So there's my podcast, my videos, my Facebook group, my daily Q&As, all that type of stuff. That's and it's completely free. You don't have to pay anything to see any of that content. The next rung on my value ladder are my free plus shipping offers. So like this book right here is a free plus shipping offer. Basically, all you have to do is go to freebookforlawyers.com, enter your information, and I send you a book for free. All you do is pay for the shipping. I've got a USB drive that teaches you how to rank your law firm in the Google Maps. It's a 25-part course. It's completely free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. Same thing with a Facebook ads course. So those are really low hanging fruit, but it also, fewer people will purchase them because it does require pulling your credit card out of your wallet and then making a purchase. So more people buy those. But I'm sorry. Fewer people buy those than consume the free content. But now the cool part about that is I've also identified who my buyers are. So then the next rung on the value ladder is going to be my course, which my course is it's a decent investment. It's not cheap, but you also get what you pay for. And it's course, it's coaching. There's a small done for you element in it, and there's also and then you also get a free ticket to a live event where I actually work with you one-on-one, which is really cool. And then after that, the next rung is hire my agency, and the agency, again, it's not cheap. It's more expensive than the course. But that's essentially, what the value ladder looks like. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of, they don't have that value ladder. They don't know what people are ascending to next. And that kind of screws them up from the beginning, because if you don't have that natural ascension, then you don't know where you're taking people. And people kind of get confused also about what the next thing is.
Yeah, I love that you highlight the value ladder. I thought it's something that I certainly don't talk about enough, and just assume that people understand. And I'm wrong for doing that, um, because it is, it and this, although this value ladder and this marketing strategy could work going straight to the law firm services. You can give free content, and then from the free content, drive them to hopefully become a client. You can see that there's missing pieces. Like, you're trying to take a leap and jump over the Grand Canyon instead of building a bridge across and taking steps and walking across. And I think that that's why information products can be so powerful in your legal practice, because if you're trying to get somebody from sharing knowledge with them to becoming a client, it's so much easier to walk them through this process of, hey, make this small investment with me, make a larger investment with me. Okay, have us do it completely for you, and it's going to cost a lot more than that. So you almost are getting them ready for that larger price point, and that larger investment, and they're arriving at that decision that they need you because they've already tried all these other things. They've exhausted their other options, and they're getting to that point where, okay, I don't want to do this myself anymore, or I don't want to be holding this bag. I want to hand it off to somebody else, and I'm willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I think that it's incredibly powerful to do that, and it changes the way that you market your firm.
Think about it like a relationship. You're married, right?
Yep.
You didn't propose to your wife on the first date, you know,
Nope.
and if you did, she probably would have said no, you know. So like that's how people are. You need to, especially if you're gonna, because lawyers especially have been just burnt by so many marketing companies that they're it's just what you have to do is you have to prove that you're somebody that is worthy of their trust, and that doesn't happen on the first interaction. That's why I create so much free content, and it's so that people will know, like, and trust me, and then they'll dip their toe in the water. They'll buy my, we'll go on a first date, they'll buy my book, and then from there, I just kind of ascend, and everything that I do provides, the other thing is I over deliver with everything that I do. I mean, honestly, you could read my book and never have to hire me. And I did that intentionally because the thought is that there's going to be people that are going to read my book and they're just going to do it themselves. And that's fine, because those people were probably never going to be clients anyway. But there's going to be a lot of people that read my book and then they want to ask more questions and they need help and they need us to do some of it for them and things like that. And those are your ideal clients. And, it's just worked really well. I've been running these free plus shipping offers for a long time. And the cool part is that you can actually liquidate your ads with the free plus shipping offers, or at least offset your ad costs, which is good because, like you said, I spent a lot of money on ads. So I'd like to get some of that back before I even make a big sale.
Yeah, let's talk about liquidating your ad costs, because this is a big issue, and I see a lot of attorneys who are getting into this idea of marketing through front end free information, trying to get people into their law firm.
Mm.
One of the things that they're finding, and they don't even recognize that this is the problem, is that they have this mounting advertising expenditure that they are making, but the return might be months down the road.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting somebody early in the process. They may not even need an attorney yet. At some point they're going to. So they're building this brand of awareness, this brand of people who are tuned into them and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But the payoff can be a long ways down the road. And we need to find a way to start to get money back in revenue in from that ad spend. Otherwise, you need to have some pretty deep pockets to really be able to make that work.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a missing piece of the puzzle in the people who are trying to do this themselves, are trying to go out there and create YouTube videos and create, all kinds of things. And then they want to build, boost their subscriber base, boost the people who are watching it. So now they start paying for advertising to do that. And there's no real strategy of bringing money back in. So can you talk a little bit about what does that look like to liquidate your ad spend, and how does somebody go about doing that?
Yeah. So what I've seen is I've seen a lot of people try to do like a free ebook, like an ebook, like 5 things you should do after an accident, or lawyers will even write. I've seen lawyers that have written entire books, like several 100-page books about what to do after an accident. And the problem is that I just feel like that's very narrow, because you can, like, it's anyone that needs that information is really good. But the problem is that proportionally to the number of people that are going to see that ad, it's not enough to liquidate your ad. So what you have to do, the first thing you have to think about is the offer, right? And people associate a higher value with a physical item than they do with just a digital download. That's why I have a course. It's a 25-part video series. I could throw that thing in Kajabi and basically just give you the login and say, hey, here it is. It's completely free. But I don't do that. What I do is I have a USB drive that I physically ship to them. And basically what that does is that says, that allows me to say, where can I send this? Where would you like to receive this item? And there's a lot of psychology that goes into that, because people love getting mail. So what I always tell lawyers is they've got to have something that people actually can find value in and that they're actually going to use. So like, and the other thing you have to consider is that it kind of needs to be small and light. So one of my favorite things is courses. Is you do a course completely free. And now obviously this is the way that I do it, is basically I'll take my big course and I'll just take one little piece from that big course, and then I'll give that part away for free, but it's not like they're getting the entire course, but they're getting a piece of that course. So like how to run Facebook ads, right? So that's a big part, how to actually go into the Facebook dashboard and how to turn the knobs and all that type of stuff. But if you want to get, how do you actually get the right message? How do you figure out who you're actually talking to? How do you figure out what they actually want? Well, that's what's actually in my course, right? So what I do is I'll create, a 25-part video series or whatever, and it's literally just me recording my screen and teaching how to do something, how to get some sort of result. And then basically I sell that for $9.97. And I say, look, it's free. Just cover the shipping for me to send it to you. So here's the economics of how that works out. I go to Amazon and I get these flat USB drives. They're the shape of they look like a credit card, but they're flat, right? And they cost like $2.83. They're 1 gig. So what I do is I compress my videos so that all of them will fit on a 1 gigabyte flash drive. I pay my well, she's 14 now. For a while, I was paying my 12-year-old $20. And I was teaching her, okay, here's all these USB drives. Here's how you copy the files from the computer to the USB drive. Go do it. And she was happy to get $20, And then what I do is, so the economics, how it works out, is the drives cost $2.83. Because it's flat, I can ship it for the cost of a stamp. So a stamp costs, what is a stamp nowadays? 89 cents?
Like 58 cents
58 cents. Yeah, I don't even know what it is because I don't deal with the shipping. And then I get a poly bubble mailer, right? Just so it doesn't get beat up in the mail. So all in, I'm about $4, and it's $9.97. So that means that I've got $5 that I can play with, where I can basically sell these things, and I've got $5 to pay for the ad. Now, I very, very, very rarely ever sell one for $5. It usually costs me anywhere from $15 to $25. So if I'm selling an information product, then what I can do is I can then add upsells in there, which are digital, and they're all digital products. So I think, okay, what are ways that I can make this faster or get it done better? And those are the upsells. So, for example, my Facebook ads course, I have, I've got the Facebook ads course. It's $9.97, and then I immediately have an order bump. And the order bump, think of it like, would you like fries with that, right? It's basically you're checking out and add this to your order to enhance it, right? So the order bump I have there, it's a digital download that I created. It's called 500 blog post topics for lawyers, right? And it's basically, if you're going to run Facebook ads and you need ideas for content, here's 500 ideas for content, right? And that literally took me, I don't know, an hour of sitting down, typing it up. I sent it to a graphic designer and I sell it for $37. And it's a digital download. So it literally cost me nothing. And that gets purchased it's about 30% of the time. So now on average, my $9.97, now my average cart value is $19.97 because on average, I'm making that extra $37. Then the next thing, like I said, we're thinking about how can we do it easier, better, or faster. The next page is going to be Okay, so one of the biggest parts about creating a Facebook ads campaign is you need to build your landing pages. So, and that's the hardest part. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming. So, for $97, my team will build the landing pages for you and will even write the content for $97, right? And about a third of the people take that. So now my average cart value is close to $50 every time. And now, if I spend $25, $35, $45 just to get a sale, now I'm breaking even or even making a couple dollars profit, you know? Um, and that's kind of the whole thing. Now, if you're running a law firm, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So what you can do with a law firm is you've got to make it like a really, really desirable item. And you can definitely do that. So like if you're like a personal injury attorney, one of the things that I was thinking personal injury attorneys would be really smart to do is go to AliExpress, which is a drop shipping company from India, and or is it China? It's either India or China. I can't remember. But basically, you can get like pretty much everything they sell on Amazon. You can get over there in bulk. So you can get different items like a cell phone holder, right? Like lawyers are always trying to get personal injury attorneys are always trying to get car accident cases. So you can get a cell phone holder that clips to the air vent, and you can even bring it to a screen printing company, have them screen print your name and phone number on the inside, and you can do those at free plus shipping, and those will probably cost you like $2 or $3. And then this will probably cost you like $2 or $3 from AliExpress, and then maybe another dollar or two to have screen printed, and then you could do those at $9.97, and that's something that people want, even if they haven't been in an accident. Everybody wants a free cell phone holder. Another thing you can do is they have these like those window smashers for cars if you end up in the water. Well, they have one that it's a cell phone charger, battery bank, or power bank, and also a window smasher in one, and it goes in the cigarette lighter of your car. So you can get those for a couple dollars, and then you can screen print your name on there, and then you can give it out for free. What's cool about that is, one, it allows you to build a list. Two, it allows you to offset your ads. And three, now they have your name and phone number in their freaking car if they get into a car accident, which is where they're actually going to, they're going to be in their car if they get into a car accident. So like you can do stuff like that. And then another thing, like I had a criminal defense attorney one time. This is the best idea I've ever heard. He was giving away the scent of alcohol gum, because basically like lawyers or police officers say, well, I detected the scent of alcohol, so then he'll say, well, what does that smell? Well, my client, so it's kind of a gimmick, but it's kind of funny too. But we've done stuff like we've done all kinds of stuff. It's basically just figuring out like what's beneficial to your client, even if and then how do you get that in front of them? So it's all about being creative, but a physical item is the best way to do it. It doesn't typically work as well with a digital download unless it's like a really, really good digital download. But I've never been able to make free plus. Well, actually, it doesn't even work because you can't do free plus shipping because now there's nothing to ship. But that's one of the best ways to do it. That's one of the most successful forms of marketing I've had is the free plus shipping model.
All right, awesome. So basically what you do is you come up with this idea. Now, when coming up with this idea, are you looking at something that is a precursor to them needing your services, or are you trying to get like your example of the stuff in the car for the personal injury attorney? That they don't necessarily know that they need a personal injury attorney when they get into an accident. So is there a way that you can cross the divide there to make sure that they're educated about that? How do you go about doing that? Your name is in there, but people don't necessarily make that connection of, oh, I got into an accident. That's what a personal injury attorney is for.
Yeah, well, the way you do that is in your follow up. So like like we said, you're not gonna get married on the first try. You know what I mean? So basically, the nice part about this is now you have their contact information and you can continue to follow up with them organically. You can get them into a Facebook group. You can do all that type of stuff. So that's where that's really the value. The value is having their email address and then being able to email them over and over and over again. So by doing that, hopefully you'll actually teach them why they need a personal injury attorney in the first place.
Okay, so you have this initial offer. It's free plus shipping. Maybe you've got a couple of order bumps on there to liquidate your ad spend. From there, you're in there. They're in your system, and now you start to email them on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Any specific cadence of those emails? Any specific length of time you're doing that for? Does it ever end? How does
Yeah.
somebody navigate that?
Well, so here's okay. So let me clarify. Are we talking about it for a law firm, or are we talking about for selling a digital info product? Because it's two different
Um,
things. Well, it's different
oh,
strategies, I should say.
that's a good question. So I think that we've established that in the value ladder, the information product sits in between the legal services of the firm
Mhm.
and the front end entry.
Yeah.
So we're now walking through this process. So now I've purchased this front end item. I haven't yet purchased this info product. So my guess is that that's where we're at.
Mhm.
We're now going to try to sell this info product,
Yeah.
which some of those people will turn into clients for the law firm.
Sure. Yeah. So with follow up emails, when I'm trying to actually make a sale, right? Not when I'm just trying to nurture, because there's different types of emails. There's nurture emails, and then there's actually trying to make a sale, right? There's two different things that you do. There's value and there's testimonials. And the value videos should be answers to objections as to why they didn't buy disguised as value, right? So like for example, let's say one of the objections that I get all the time from lawyers is they think that running Facebook ads, or they think social media is unethical, right? They think they're going to get in trouble with the bar association if they start running social media. So what I'll do is I'll go out and I'll actually do an interview with somebody that will talk all about how social media actually is very ethical. And, there's obviously certain things you want to watch out for, but as long as you do these things, you're fine, right? And it'll be a lot of value. But what I'm doing there is I'm thinking, okay, what was the objection? The objection was they think it's unethical. Okay, so what content can I create that provides value, but also answers and overcomes that objection, right? And by doing that, I've now provided value and I've overcome that objection. And then, so those are the types of value videos, right? Another one, like for me, because I'm teaching lawyers how to do social media, another objection would be like, I can't create videos because I don't have time. I don't have, 2 hours a day. Well, I'm going to show you how you create videos in 5 minutes per day. And you can do this entire strategy that I'm teaching you, and it's only going to take you 5 minutes per day. Or maybe another objection is I don't have fancy video equipment. Okay, well, I'm going to show you how you film all your videos and everything with just your iPhone, and you don't even need you don't need an editor, you don't need a camera, you don't need anything. You don't even need a microphone. As long as you use your iPhone, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that. And that's the types of videos that I create. It's like you literally have